The man was pinned hard against the damp alley wall, choking out incoherent whimpers from his throat, until the cold blade precisely severed all his vitality. See, killing is just that simple. I shook the blood droplets off my short knife and continued working. By the time the sky began to lighten, the job was finally done. Playing murder all night and still having to rush to class at 8 a.m. This life is slowly consuming me. Should be at an age where I need to grow, but continuous late nights have led to severe sleep deprivation. I'm Shinjou Kai, an ordinary student at Kamikura High School and a professional assassin. The classroom of class 1 to 2 is always as noisy as a bustling market, and right now, my only wish is to bury my face in my desk and catch up on some sleep. I kept my head down and moved quietly through the room, just wanting to be invisible. But the leader guy, who's also the star of the soccer team, always manages to spot me with pinpoint accuracy. He came over with his signature friendly smile to say hello. I didn't even lift my eyelids, just pretended not to hear him. This immediately annoyed the Gyaru girl next to him. She loudly questioned why the leader guy bothered sucking up to someone cold, why he always acknowledged that gloomy guy. The leader guy still had that nice guy tone, laughing it off, saying classmates should be friendly with each other. Before he could finish, the classroom door was kicked open with a bang, and the red-haired school bully pushed his way in. The Gyaru started complaining about someone with an even worse attitude showing up. His lackeys immediately swarmed around him to kiss up. The school bully's gaze lazily swept across the entire class, finally landing on me in this corner. Seeing me sleeping, he was very displeased. The school bully crossed over to me in 2 steps and yelled at me to wake up. He just wanted to establish dominance by putting me down. He reached out trying to grab the back of my neck, but I grabbed his wrist instead. The school bully never expected this outcome. I stretched with a lazy yawn. Gripping his wrist tightly, I casually questioned what he wanted. The school bully cursed at me furiously, trying hard to pull his hand back. I loosened my grip slightly, almost making him stumble. The school bully cursed and wanted to start a fight. Just then, the Ice Queen suddenly spoke up coldly, telling everyone to be quiet. The school bully glared at her angrily, asking if she wanted trouble too. The discipline committee member quickly scolded him not to disturb the order, but the school bully completely ignored her. The blonde guy slacker kept making wisecracks on the side, saying the discipline committee showing up would only get punched away. The school bully never hits women. He turned and went back to his seat. The class bell rang. Everyone returned to their seats. I continued lying on my desk sleeping. However, no one expected disaster to strike the next moment. I first felt the floor getting hot under my feet, then looked up to see a strange white light glowing around the leader guy's feet, like someone had sprinkled fluorescent powder. The classroom instantly erupted into chaos. Some anxiously asked what was happening. Some screamed, trying to escape. The leader guy's face went pale. He frantically shouted for everyone to escape, but he himself stood frozen in place. I calmly shook my head and muttered, "It's too late." Sure enough, the next second a flash of white light passed, and the entire class collapsed in unison. I don't know how long passed, but I was the first to wake up, with only the sound of wind whistling in my ears. I got up and looked around to find I was no longer in the familiar classroom, but in a strange room built of stone, with only thick stone pillars for cover, and only one exit. It was obvious that flash of light had transported us here. Then groans arose around me one after another. Everyone gradually woke up, and questions and panic spread instantly. Even the Gyaru, who'd seen her share of scenes, panicked, urgently demanding what the hell was going on. The leader guy rubbed his head and spoke up to calm everyone, telling them to first settle down and check if anyone was injured. I have to admit, this guy's leadership ability is truly outstanding. Just a few words made people on the verge of breakdown slightly calm down. The most anxious was still the school bully, who jumped up yelling about figuring out the situation. Like a headless fly, he rushed toward the door with his 2 underlings. The leader guy grabbed him, saying there were footsteps behind the door. Actually, I'd already heard them. One light, one heavy, clearly 2 people. Everyone instantly tensed up and stared vigilantly at the exit, the footsteps getting closer, accompanied by slight sounds. A man and woman walked in, the woman wearing a gentle smile with an elegant temperament, the man with a powerful presence and sharp eyes. The woman spoke first, saying words we couldn't understand. Everyone stared at these 2 people dressed in medieval clothing, full of questions. I quietly hid behind a stone pillar to observe, my assassin's instinct allowing me to quickly judge that the man had the physique of a swordsman and was definitely not cosplaying. And though the woman seemed gentle, she was more dangerous than the man. The woman introduced herself as the Saintess Archbishop of the Holy Nation of Digaresto, and the old man beside her was her guard knight. The school bully was the first to jump out, questioning if they were here to joke around. The Saintess smiled in response, saying she wasn't messing with us. The leader guy played the nice guy again, coming out to smooth things over, politely asking what had happened. Then the Saintess said something even more absurd. We were all summoned to another world as hero candidates to defeat the Demon King. The term hero candidate completely exceeded everyone's understanding. Even more fantastical than the assassination missions I carry out, I could only continue observing the situation. The crowd below immediately erupted. The school bully was the first to jump out and start arguing with that old knight. Just watching his aggressive manner, I knew it would end badly. He might bully classmates, but against a real expert, he's nowhere near enough. Sure enough, the old knight's sword-drawing speed was astonishingly fast. The school bully charged forward without even reacting. His arm was slashed open and blood immediately seeped out. He instantly deflated. Everyone was shocked by the scene. I still had some respect for the school bully in my heart. Facing an armed opponent, he still dared to charge without hesitation. But the Saintess stopped it quickly, otherwise the delinquent would have suffered more. She turned to everyone and sincerely apologized, saying using force earlier was wrong and they had absolutely no intention of harming us, about this world and why we're here. She would explain everything clearly. I leaned against the pillar pondering, looks like I can't avoid this mess. Whether I can survive in the future depends on these people's abilities, but of course most importantly on my own skills. I listened as the Saintess stood there explaining, saying something about humanity in this world being nearly wiped out by the Demon King. She clenched her fists speaking very emotionally, but I only had one thought. This Demon King setup is way too cliché, exactly like the manga I read as a kid. The leader guy frowned, asking if they expected us to go fight the Demon King. People immediately whispered around him, the blonde guy saying he'd never even been in a fight. How could he possibly fight a Demon King? The discipline committee, who's usually strict about rules, also lost her confidence now, muttering quietly, every word showing concern. Someone couldn't help but cry out, wanting to return to their original world. I rolled my eyes thinking, what's the use of crying? If crying could get us back, I'd have cried at the moon 1,000 times already. These people haven't experienced real danger, still think acting cute and crying will turn things around. The old knight spoke up, his voice cold and hard, saying although it's forcing them, if they want to return to their original world, there's no other way except defeating the Demon King. His cold gaze swept across everyone. This statement was clearly meant to cut off everyone's escape route, forcing them to mentally prepare for battle. Sure enough, the school bully exploded again. He pointed at the old knight, demanding why they could just summon us at will and make us fight at their command. This kid still hasn't learned his lesson, got slashed once before and still didn't learn. The old knight's hand instantly went to his sword hilt. Fortunately, the Saintess reacted quickly and stopped him. She turned to heal the school bully's wound. That white light wrapped around the wound, healing at a visible speed, not even leaving a scar. The Gyaru's eyes went straight, staring at that light, asking about it. The Saintess explained it was a spell, what we commonly call magic. I'd already made up my mind. She knows our culture, definitely not the first time doing this. The Saintess said she'd release our blessings, meaning give us superpowers. Starting with the leader guy. His head suddenly jerked. A pale blue light appeared on his hand, slowly gathering together, forming into the shape of a sword. The Saintess explained that we hero candidates, through her magic power, could awaken the power of blessings. She clasped her hands tightly, knuckles white, eyes filled with guilt, saying she'd selfishly summoned us but couldn't send us back. But please help her out. The leader guy said no matter how much power we have, we can't immediately go to the battlefield. The Saintess immediately responded, saying indeed some training was needed, also promising generous treatment during training. The leader guy turned to everyone, saying what they needed most now was lodging and understanding the rules. Blessings could save lives at critical moments, urging everyone to follow their lead for now. After discussion, everyone agreed with the leader guy's idea. A genuine smile appeared on the Saintess's face. Then she began releasing everyone's blessings. The discipline committee's blessing was telekinesis. She thought about it and a pencil floated up. The school bully's blessing was explosion. He tried it on the air, causing small sparks, immediately getting cocky about it. The Saintess looked around thinking she was done. I walked out from behind the stone pillar, raising my hand, saying there's still me. Since everyone got superpowers, I can't go into battle with nothing. The Saintess was startled, saying she didn't notice me, then began casting. I suddenly felt my vision blur and something seemed to be added to my brain. Then focusing, I saw a game interface appear, displaying Saintess Leonora's various stats. Age 18, attack rank A, defense rank D, agility rank D, stamina rank E, magic rank S, skills including summoning spells and sacred blessing. The Saintess saw my eyes change color, saying my appraisal blessing could see others' details, also saying it's quite rare. But I thought it just shows stats. When it really comes to fighting, you still rely on your own skills. I looked at my own interface. Shinjou Kai, 17 years old, attack rank B, defense rank F, agility rank B, stamina rank C, magic rank E, skills are appraisal blessing level 1, assassination level 5, short sword techniques level 5, throwing level 5, stealth level 5. These are skills I've practiced for many years, not watered down at all. Suddenly a loud crash. The school bully activated his skill, attacking toward me. I dodged it easily with a sidestep. The ground was blasted into a huge crater. He showed off his explosive power, mocking that all I could do was make my eyes turn red. What's worse is the Gyaru actually chimed in from the side. I rolled my eyes. This girl's eyes were brighter than anyone's when she saw my superpower earlier. Now she remembers to mock me. It's only because I don't bother arguing with them. If it were strangers, I'd have made him taste an assassin's methods long ago. I went back to the stone pillar with a cold smile. With current intel alone, you can't judge which power is useful. There are countless ways to kill people. The Saintess spoke up at this moment, face full of expectation, saying now that all blessings are released, defeating the Demon King is just around the corner. That's one hell of an empty promise. With just us bunch who just got blessings and haven't even figured out how to control them going to fight the Demon King, we might as well be delivering appetizers to the Demon King. She then led us to our lodgings, telling us to rest well. Who can really sleep soundly in an unfamiliar place? I need to sneak out at night when no one's around to scope things out. Hadn't gone far when I heard two guards chatting at the corner. One complained about patrolling at night being a waste of time. The other said the hero candidates were just a bunch of kids who'd never been on a battlefield. Why guard them so strictly? I hid behind a pillar listening, then heard them speculating about the Saintess's thoughts. No useful information though. I kept circling around, encountering guards 3 times. Each time I'd hide using stealth first, then use appraisal to scan their stats. The most memorable was a guard named Dan, 31 years old, attack rank E, defense rank D, agility actually rank F, skills just swordsmanship level 1, practically like he'd never trained. Looks like not everyone in this place knows magic. Going further out, I finally understood, this place is actually a fortress city. Stone walls everywhere, tall and thick, only a few narrow paths to pass through. I wanted to sneak into the inner city, but as soon as I got close, I heard footsteps inside, plus the building's like a maze. Afraid I'd get lost and couldn't get out, so I gave up for now. I was about to head back when I suddenly heard a girl's voice not far away. Looking over, who else could it be but the Gyaru? She stood in the clearing with hands on hips telling two other girls might as well practice their blessings since they can't sleep anyway. The Gyaru held flickering flames in her hand. The two other girls both agreed with her suggestion. All three activated their superpowers, practicing intently. I didn't want to bother with them and planned to quietly leave, but then smelled a weird odor of moldy rotten grass mixed with a fishy stench. Before I could react, one of the girls quietly asked if there was a strange sound. The Gyaru stubbornly said no. Next second there was a crack sound, something burst out of the ground. I quickly hid to the side and peeked. A monster half the height of a person, whole body green and oily with shiny scales, was staring at those three girls. The three girls' faces went pale white, frozen in place. I immediately activated appraisal. The interface showed it's a Bale lizard, age 4, attack rank B, defense rank C, status enslaved. Shows species not name and it's enslaved. Someone must be controlling it from behind. Before I could think further, that lizard suddenly cried out, then charged at the Gyaru and her group. The three girls immediately panicked, running around like headless flies. The Gyaru ran at the front, still yelling to run quickly. The two girls following behind were almost crying in fear. I stared at that lizard and found its intelligence really isn't high. Found that although it runs fast, it only charges forward and can't turn, even has to go around stones. I pulled out a throwing knife from my pocket, aiming at its side waist. Threw it hard. Thunk! The knife stuck in. The lizard froze for a moment, then turned its head and roared, seeming confused but not even bleeding. Looks like the damage is really nothing, like scratching an itch. Just then, the Gyaru suddenly cried out. I looked up to see she'd actually tripped on a stone, fell to the ground with her knees scraped. The other two girls wanted to go back and help her, but were afraid the lizard would catch up, anxiously shouting. The lizard immediately turned toward the Gyaru. The Gyaru turned to see the lizard and was terrified. The lizard gave her no chance to react and attacked directly. I hesitated for a moment. Help and risk exposing my skills. Don't help, and watching her get hurt by a monster doesn't sit right with me. Finally, I steeled myself and pulled out another throwing knife, aimed at the lizard's back and threw it hard. Clang! The knife stuck in much deeper than before. The lizard cried out in pain and stopped moving. The two girls quickly ran over to help the Gyaru. The Gyaru was still dazed, asking who saved her. One of the girls worried the monster might appear again, suggesting they quickly go back. Then everyone nodded and headed to the dorm. I hid behind a tree, watching them run away in panic before breathing a sigh of relief. I walked over and pulled out both throwing knives, wiping off the slime, wondering how many of these monsters exist in this world. Even practicing blessings at night, you run into them. I crouched down, wanting to check the lizard's wound, but just touching the scales I felt a chill down my back, like someone was watching me, like being stared at by a snake. I immediately stood up and looked around. It was so quiet you could hear the wind blowing grass, not even a shadow. That gaze from earlier was as quick as lightning. I only caught it for an instant. I didn't dare stay longer, thinking I should head back first and not cause more trouble. Turned and left. But I'd barely taken a few steps when I heard a whoosh behind me, like something jumped over and stepped on the lizard's body. I seemed to hear a faint voice say, "Thought the hero candidates were useless. Didn't expect one to be the same kind." A chill ran down my back. Same kind? Could it also be an assassin? Looks like this world is more complicated than I thought. From now on, I need to guard against not just monsters, but also people hiding in the shadows. The next morning, the old knight single-handedly dragged a monster and slammed it on the ground. The monster, all green and oily, still twitching, looking creepy. The people around instantly freaked out. Girls shrank back in fear. Boys also widened their eyes. The sound of chatter was buzzing like flies. I focused and looked. Isn't this last night's lizard? The old knight stood there with a face like iron, saying this monster was wandering around the city last night, then saying these things are the Demon King's minions, brutal and love-eating human flesh. This is what we'll be dealing with from now on. Then a guy with glasses squeezed out from the crowd, looking refined. A monster researcher. A chatty glasses guy. The old knight asked if he found anything. The chatty glasses guy went over and poked at the monster's scales a couple times, saying there were traces of magic on it, cast by mid-level or higher demons, probably sent to probe our strength. I wondered what's the difference between magic and the Saintess's spells. The leader guy reacted quickly, immediately asking if demons were controlling this monster. The chatty glasses guy's eyes lit up, saying the leader guy was very sharp, then started going on and on about monsters, saying monsters are originally animals and plants mutated by magic influence, fierce and strong. Magic is spread by the evil god, can control the Demon King and monsters, so demons play with these like toys. I watched his spit almost spraying onto the monster, understanding this guy talks endlessly. Sure enough, the old knight couldn't take it first, frowning, telling him to step back. Several guards came up and dragged the chatty glasses guy away. People around couldn't help laughing. I secretly pondered, this chatty glasses guy is a researcher. If I could get some intel from him, like demon weaknesses and magic secrets, might come in handy later. I glanced at the monster's appraisal interface again. Status bar said enslaved. My heart sank. So the gaze I detected last night was the demon controlling this this thing. That guy is way too experienced. I only caught a moment of his presence. Might still be around watching us right now. Suddenly a sinister laugh echoed in my head, saying if I'm this scared I won't live long. I straightened my back immediately. Who says I'm scared? And the voice in my head disappeared instantly, leaving only the messy noise in front of me. The school bully said anyway to go home we have to beat the Demon King. He doesn't want to stay in this crappy place. Even the Ice Queen rarely nodded, saying he made sense this time. The leader guy also frowned, saying we can only fight. I looked at the people around. Finally someone's facing reality. Lose the fight and you die. There aren't that many escape routes. The Saintess slowly walked over at this moment, her body even glowing with faint holy light like special effects were turned on. She said, we don't need to be afraid, just haven't figured out how to use our blessings yet. Practice more and it'll be fine. Also said, we're hero candidates chosen from another world, progress much faster than people from this world. In the blink of an eye a week passed, everyone else training at the training grounds every day. Just me left on the sidelines. They all thought my blessing couldn't be used in combat, might as well go read books. I was happy not to tire myself out going to the library to read every day. But flipping through them, they're all history and civilization content, not even a mention of demons. What's weirder is I can actually read all the characters here, like someone translated them. This day I was leaning by the library window daydreaming, heard loud noise from the training ground outside. I got up and decided to go check it out. Just as the Saintess said, the class's progress speed is extraordinary. Those with considerable talent include the blonde guy, school bully, Ice Queen, discipline committee, and Gyaru among 5 people. I glanced toward the center of the plaza, because there's one person whose progress speed clearly exceeds these people. The leader guy was sparring with a guard, wielding his sword quite skillfully. In the end the guard conceded, saying the leader guy was stronger than him. The leader guy was quite modest, politely thanking them, saying it was thanks to their guidance. I quickly activated appraisal to check his stats. Attack rank A, defense rank B, agility rank A, stamina rank B, magic rank A. His skills also include Holy Breaker sword level 1 and swordsmanship level 4. I was shocked. A week ago his stats were just D to F. This progress speed is way too ridiculous. Must be that divine blessing giving him cheats. Before I could recover, I saw the school bully walking over with some guys. The yes man had a mocking face, saying, I'm a guy who can't go to the battlefield. The follower chimed in, telling the gloomy guy to obediently go read books. I sneered inside, got a bit of blessing power and don't know their own name anymore. The yes man even pointed at me, saying since I won't respond they should get along well. I'm not some soft persimmon to be squeezed by anyone. I pulled out a small pebble and when he wasn't looking, threw it by his feet. Smack! His foot slipped. He fell flat on his back like a turtle. People around laughed like crazy. The yes man got up cursing, wanting to retaliate. The school bully stopped him in time, telling the yes man to tone it down. Turns out the Saintess and old knight had arrived. The Saintess still had that smiling expression. She said our progress was faster than her expectations and needed to advance the plan. The blonde guy immediately asked if we're going to fight the Demon King. The Saintess said not the Demon King, but real combat training with monsters. Everyone's faces showed difficulty after hearing her words. I also felt a chill on the back of my neck and a drop of cold sweat on my forehead, but we had no right to refuse, could only follow the Saintess and old knight to a forest. The old knight pointed at the forest ahead, saying combat training would happen here. The Saintess said to form groups of 2 or 3 people. I looked at that forest, trees so dense they could block the sun. Forget group action, even 2 people walking side by side would have to squeeze past trees. Definitely easy to get in each other's way. The Gyaru immediately rushed up to the leader guy with sparkling eyes. The leader guy immediately nodded in agreement. Another girl quickly came over wanting to join. 3 people gathered at once. The yes man circled around the school bully, calling him big brother, wanting to follow. The follower also wanted to help the boss fight monsters. The boss just glanced at them impatiently, saying whatever you want. That cocky looked like he really is the boss. The discipline committee and Blonde, the happy enemies, also formed a team. The old knight scanned around asking if everyone had teams. His gaze finally stopped on me and the Ice Queen. No one dared team up with the Ice Queen because she's usually like a block of ice, speaks bluntly. Everyone didn't want to find trouble. The Ice Queen herself was stunned for a moment, probably didn't expect no one would invite her. Her expression looked bad. After a while she turned to me, her tone stiff, asking since there's no choice can we team up? I nodded, saying okay. The Ice Queen looks confident and cold but is actually quite proud. Can't stand others dragging her down. Teaming with her probably means following her orders. Seeing me agree, she glared at me again, asking why I kept staring at her. I quickly said nothing. Please take care of me. She snorted coldly and turned away, putting on airs like a little princess. The Saintess came out to smooth things over at this moment, saying the team that defeats the most monsters gets a reward, telling us to work hard. Then shouted training starts and let us enter the forest. The Ice Queen walked ahead with her back straight like a leading general. Hadn't taken 2 steps when she spoke up, saying her blessing is better than anyone's. I don't need to do anything, just don't get in her way. I quickly responded, saying, got it. She wasn't pleased and muttered, seems you don't even have self-respect. I complained inside, self-respect can't be eaten. Arguing with you about this. When we really encounter monsters, you'll complain about me being in the way. Might as well first see how capable you really are. Hadn't walked far when I heard movement around us. Not the sound of wind blowing leaves, but that rustling sound like something crawling in the grass. My heart tightened, just about to warn the Ice Queen, when I heard a strange cry. A small monster about the size of a rabbit jumped out from behind a tree, with greenish skin and 2 big ears. The Ice Queen was startled too, shouting, it's a monster. the monster charged at her. The Ice Queen reacted quickly, immediately using her blessing, shouting, "Fall down obediently." The monster was like someone hit pause, Thump fell to the ground motionless. Only then did I understand her blessing is control. Being able to make others follow her commands is quite impressive. I reminded her there are several more around. She nodded and commanded the monster on the ground to drop its weapon, put hands behind its back. The monster obediently did as she said. Only then did I notice the Ice Queen's face was a bit pale with sweat on her forehead. I asked her what's wrong. She turned away, saying constantly using her blessing was exhausting. I understood then. This blessing looks strong but really drains magic, so I told her to quickly kill this one. Don't waste magic. But she hesitated, staring at the monster, saying it looks a bit like a human. The monster made strange sounds like begging for mercy. I frowned right then. Being soft-hearted at a time like this, I told her it attacked us, so it's the enemy. No reason to let it go. She said I understand, but those eyes clearly still showed some fear. I picked up a rock and weighed it, thinking, these people, even with blessings, still haven't experienced real combat. Crisis awareness is too poor, can't be ruthless at critical moments, will suffer losses sooner or later. Before I could think more, several more whooshed out from the surrounding grass. Identical small monsters surrounded us and pounced. The Ice Queen completely panicked, quickly shouting, "All of you fall down." All the monsters fell to the ground, but she leaned against a tree, gasping heavily, face pale as paper. I asked her what now. She got anxious, shouted at me, "Don't just stand there, come help." I reminded her she was the one who told me not to do anything. Her face turned red, saying, "Just kill them already," then shouted at the monsters on the ground to break your own necks. I watched those monsters actually reach up and strangle their own necks until death. The Ice Queen looked at the monster corpses on the ground, voice low, saying, "First time seeing corpses doesn't feel good." I told her enemies have to be killed. To survive, we can only do this. She looked up, asking, "How can you be so calm when you have no power?" I smiled, saying my strong point is staying composed. Actually, what I'm thinking is, I've seen more dead people than you've seen monsters. How could I not be calm? I asked her to continue forward or turn back. She stared at the corpses silently for a while, then turned around with a cold snort and kept walking forward. I looked at her back, thinking, this girl may talk tough and love showing off, but her stress tolerance is actually not bad. Better than the Gyaru and others. Should be able to hold up on a real battlefield. Just don't know how the others are doing. Hope they didn't get into trouble just entering the forest. But the moment I had that thought, I heard running sounds not far away, along with miserable screaming, especially shrill. I recognized it immediately as the discipline committee's voice. That girl's voice is loud when enforcing discipline normally. Now panicking, it's even more piercing. I looked in that direction, following the sound. It's the blonde guy and discipline committee running out of breath, with a giant monster chasing behind them. The Ice Queen stopped abruptly, pupils shrinking, confirming it's the discipline committee's cry for help. I said, something happened, what should we do? She changed from her usual coldness and immediately decided to save them. I was secretly surprised this proud girl is actually this soft-hearted. She glared at me, questioning if I had some prejudice, urging me to move quickly. When we arrived, the scene was already chaos. The blonde guy gritted his teeth, deciding to take a gamble, activated his wind skill, coordinating with the discipline committee, controlling boulders to smash hard at the monster. After the rumbling sound passed, the monster shook its body, actually completely unharmed. The blonde guy's legs went weak, crying out in shock. The discipline committee panicked and was knocked to the ground. The giant monster with a hard shell approached, but the blonde guy stood stubbornly in front of the discipline committee, completely different from his usual carefree attitude. The discipline committee weakly urged him to escape alone, but he stubbornly refused to leave his companion. This sense of responsibility made me silently nod in approval. The Ice Queen, seeing this, couldn't care about being proud, immediately activated her control blessing, ordering the monster to stop moving. The monster about to pounce on the blonde guy suddenly froze. He breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "We're saved." But the Ice Queen frowned, admitting she couldn't suppress this monster. Watching her hand slightly trembling with sweat beading on her forehead, I knew the blessing's consumption against this big guy far exceeded before. Its effectiveness also greatly reduced. I urgently asked about the discipline committee's condition. The blonde guy responded, "She's still breathing." I told him to carry the discipline committee and escape to call for backup. The blonde guy carried the discipline committee and quickly disappeared at the exit. I turned to look at the monster, activated my appraisal skill. Armored giant bear, mutant species, 10 years old, attack rank B, defense rank A, excited and enslaved, under control, no skills. My heart sank. This shell is harder than stone. Throwing knives can't penetrate at all. The Ice Queen gasped, saying she can't hold on. Right after the monster roared, breaking free of control, I urgently shouted to run. The Ice Queen turned but fell sitting on the ground, her legs trembling, unable to move. The monster, seeing this, charged over quickly. I cursed under my breath, pulled out my precious smoke bomb and pulled the pin. White smoke instantly filled the area. I took the chance to princess carry the Ice Queen and hide behind a big tree. Her heart was pounding in her chest. I peeked to observe the monster wandering blind in the smoke, didn't discover our hiding spot. The Ice Queen quietly asked where the smoke came from. I lied, saying it's a regular smoke bomb I made during training. Can't reveal my assassin equipment secrets yet. She suddenly apologized softly, saying she should have protected me but instead got saved. I laughed, saying thank you is acceptable though. Her ears turned red as she quietly thanked. So cute. completely different from her usual coldness. I teased, saying if she was this gentle normally, she'd definitely be more popular. She instantly bristled. I signaled for silence to avoid exposure. She glared at me defiantly, but still obediently shut up. Then she quietly urged me to escape quickly, but I shook my head, saying no need. I'd already heard footsteps earlier. The fear in the monster's eyes also indicated backup was arriving. The smoke gradually cleared. The leader guy and Gyaru and others indeed arrived. The leader guy activated his Holy Breaker sword, eyes determined, declaring he'd take on the monster. The blinding sword light slashed hard at the bear. A clanging sound shocked the leader guy's hands numb, but he didn't back down, slashing down hard again. The giant monster screamed but wasn't badly hurt. The leader guy thought to himself, this shell is like iron armor. Ordinary swords can't break through it all. The Gyaru clenched her fists, telling the leader guy to move aside, reminding the leader guy to watch out for burns while activating her skill. Blazing flames rushed at the monster, flames sizzling. The Gyaru looked smug. The leader guy also praised her for doing well, but the next second the monster's eyes turned red, roaring. Its movements became even more fierce, charging at them. The Gyaru's face showed disbelief and panic, but the leader guy stayed calm, telling her to settle down. He pointed out the monster's movements had slowed, its claw swipes also became sluggish. The leader guy proposed the three joined forces. His steady tone stabilized the other two's confidence. The Gyaru and the girl beside her both agreed. The three formed a pincer formation, closing in on the monster. In the shadows, the demon assassin watched the battle closely, the aura he emitted identical to the one controlling the bow lizard. Seeing the leader guy's trio coordinating more smoothly, he knew the armored giant bear couldn't hold out much longer. The cunning old assassin hid behind a tree thinking. Suddenly his eyes changed sharply, gripping the dagger behind him, planning to ambush when everyone let their guard down. On the other side, the leader guy quickly seized the opening when the monster's movements became sluggish. Swinging his sword to stab the gap the Gyaru's flames had burned open, the blade went thunk into it. The bear cried out in pain and retreated, finally falling to the ground. The leader guy shouted, "The battle is over." The demon assassin sneered, knowing the time had come. Right when the leader guy relaxed, the assassin moved like a cat silently around behind him, dagger about to touch his back. But when he moved, I'd already gripped my short blade and circled out lightly. The second before his dagger stabbed the leader guy, my blade was at his throat. The demon assassin's pupils shrank, trembling, asking when I got here. I coldly told him, "Parents taught me from childhood, people are most vulnerable the moment they defeat an enemy." His hand shook and the dagger clanged to the ground, raised his hands to surrender but quietly shifted his feet, trying to escape. My eyes went cold. The blade slashed across his calf. He fell to the ground in pain, grimacing. I crouched down, lowering my voice, warning him to honestly confess the truth. His expression changed dramatically and he spoke hurriedly, claiming to be a foreigner surviving in the shadows. Also admitted he meant no harm. I sneered inside with disdain, the cold aura on him almost like a monster, still trying to play innocent. I directly called out his disguise. He didn't expect I'd already seen through him, eyes wide with shock. "I survived by assassination. This level of alertness is essential, otherwise I'd have died 800 times. I demanded he hand over demon intel, but he sneered and refused to tell. I stopped wasting words and swung my fist, one foot stomping hard on his back, force enough to make him speechless with pain. He curled up on the ground, gritting his teeth, cursing me brat. I was about to punish him more, saw him suddenly bite something in his mouth. Next second he bled from all 7 orifices and died. My heart jumped, to be so thorough about it. I sighed. The Demon King's army is tougher than imagined. Assassins would rather die than talk. Dealing with them requires more caution in the future. My interface suddenly dinged with a notification. Hadn't figured out what's happening yet. The Ice Queen appeared behind me, face pale, asking if this person is already dead. My eyes still carried that ruthless look, thinking, oh no, my assassin identity might not stay hidden anymore. The Ice Queen was scared back by my expression, looking cuter than usual. I asked her when she got here. She was extremely nervous but afraid I'd misunderstand, quickly explaining the demon assassin was already on the ground when she arrived. I stated bluntly he's a Demon King's army assassin. The armored giant bear was his subordinate. The bow lizard was also sent by him to kill people. The Ice Queen's face became increasingly pale. In her understanding, the Demon King's army was just the enemy the Saintess mentioned. She never imagined they'd actually send assassins to take everyone's lives. I told her it's normal for the Demon King's army to kill hero candidates. She was silent for a moment, admitting she was too naive. I was relieved she quickly recognized reality. Then she was curious why I saw through it when others didn't notice at all. I thought for a long time and finally decided to tell her the truth, confess my identity to her, explaining my family has been in the assassination business for generations, so I can smell the scent of fellow assassins. The Ice Queen froze completely, couldn't speak for a long time. I pointed at the corpse on the ground. Believe it or not, it's up to her. She stared at the corpse, swallowing, didn't press further. I instructed her to keep everything seen and heard today's secret to avoid panic. After all, the class panicked even when the discipline committee got hurt. Knowing about assassins would only cause more chaos. The Ice Queen nodded in agreement, unexpectedly praising me for being considerate, understanding classmates' feelings. I muttered to myself, they're all ordinary students after all, while I'm already used to combat. But I think the Ice Queen's control blessing will definitely be useful in the future. When the day comes to fight the Demon King, we'll need everyone's effort. The Ice Queen and I returned to the forest exit, saw the discipline committee lying on the ground, with the class's quiet girl healing her. The quiet girl's eyes were red and full of worry, trying hard to release her healing skill. Through her persistent efforts, the discipline committee's wounds gradually healed until fully recovered. People around exclaimed, "It's a miracle." The blonde guy rushed forward, anxiously asking about the situation. The quiet girl said the discipline committee would wake up in an hour. The blonde guy breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "That's good then." Someone praised the leader guy for being amazing, able to defeat the powerful giant bear. The leader guy didn't take credit, saying it was thanks to the Gyaru and others fighting alongside him. Watching everyone relax, my mood improved quite a bit. Then I leaned against a tree to rest a little. At this time, the Ice Queen stood to the side with her head down, looking melancholy. I guess she was thinking about her grandfather. I'd heard before that the Ice Queen had no parents since childhood, was raised by her grandfather alone. That's why she developed such an aloof and cold personality. But she quickly adjusted her emotions. I knew she was a strong girl. The Ice Queen noticed me watching her. Her ears immediately turned red. Before I could tease her, she ran away. The Saintess and Old Knight finally appeared. The Saintess said in a relaxed tone, "Looks like everyone's back." The leader guy turned to greet them both. The blonde guy suppressed his anger, questioning where they went. The Old Knight replied with a cold expression, saying they'd been supervising everyone all along. The blonde guy's anger intensified, questioning why they didn't save anyone. The Old Knight argued righteously that solving one's own problems counts as training. The leader guy couldn't help speaking up, mentioning the situation was critical and the discipline committee nearly lost her life. The Old Knight was indifferent, saying no need to complain about small matters. Real combat concerns life and death. Everyone will face such battles in the future. At these words, everyone retreated in fear. The leader guy pressed on, asking why there was a giant bear when they said only low-level monsters before. The Saintess smiled, saying the giant bear was a demon assassin. The purpose was to test the hero candidate's strength, casually reminding everyone other assassins are lurking, ordering the Old Knight to strengthen security together. Everyone panicked. The Saintess then ordered increased training intensity to avoid total annihilation. Someone complained they're already exhausted. Someone worried about being killed. The leader guy said, "This is too demanding." The Saintess suddenly raised her voice, scolding everyone for being cowardly, saying, "If we don't do this, you'll die soon." The leader guy was stunned by the yelling, speechless for a long time. The school bully already had a belly full of anger, walked straight toward the Old Knight, accusing them of summoning everyone without permission, then forcing everyone to fight and go to their deaths. The Old Knight got angry and finally spoke his true thoughts, stating everyone is the Saintess's pawn and cannot disobey any of her orders. These words were like cold water poured over heads. Everyone was shocked. The school bully turned red with rage, roaring he's asking for death, raising his hand to activate explosion. The leader guy stopped him in time, telling the delinquent that resisting equals treason. We have no chance of winning. The Old Knight praised the leader guy for being sensible, saying as long as everyone obeys they won't suffer. The school bully couldn't swallow his anger, stating rebellion suits him just fine, activated explosion, shouting to kill the Old Knight. His power looks destructive, but against absolute strength, it's not worth mentioning. The Old Knight rushed forward like wind, punching toward the delinquent's face. The delinquent had no time to dodge, could only take the punch. The Old Knight swung his fist again, viciously punching the delinquent in the face, completely knocking him to the ground. The delinquent screamed once, couldn't stop coughing. Seeing this, everyone fell silent in fear. The Old Knight glanced at everyone with contempt, mocking us as a bunch of rookies. Then he and the Saintess turned to leave, telling us to mentally prepare for harsher training. The yes man and follower quickly went forward to help the delinquent up. The delinquent gritted his teeth in rage, swearing to kill the Old Knight. The second day after combat, the Saintess gathered everyone again, announcing the start of harsh training mode. The chatty glasses guy beside her smiled and stepped forward, saying he was ordered by the Saintess to take charge of training us, starting today. Then his gaze swept across everyone, asking about yesterday's injuries. The discipline committee immediately stepped forward, saying the quiet girl had already healed her with healing blessing, also pointing at the school bully, saying that idiot is fine too. The school bully was immediately displeased and snorted coldly, face turning to the side full of pride. The chatty glasses guy's eyes lit up upon hearing about healing blessing, looking at the quiet girl like discovering a treasure with sparkling eyes. Next he explained today's training content. This place is his research facility. We'll battle monsters here. The leader guy frowned, looking at the gloomy building, wondering if monsters are hidden inside. The chatty glasses guy pushed his glasses, didn't directly respond but let everyone confirm with their own eyes, then raised his hand signaling to open the door. The heavy wooden door creaked open. Inside the door several goblins huddled in corners. Bal lizards bit at cages. Ogres taller than people huffed and puffed, looking fierce and scary. Female students screamed and retreated in fear. The chatty glasses guy's expression was calm, explaining these monsters are experimental livestock. The Saintess spoke up from the side with a smile, saying the research facility is suitable as a training ground. The chatty glasses guy immediately laughed in agreement, stating he could collect combat data, thanking everyone for cooperation, actually treating everyone as experimental tools. The leader guy and Gyaru exchanged glances, expressions grave without a word. Combat training began immediately. An ogre was first moved outside the door, standing in the middle of the arena. The Gyaru took the initiative to step forward to fight, clenching her fists more composed than yesterday. Looks like yesterday's experience wasn't wasted, but I see she's still afraid. She won't win like this. Sure enough, the next second she fell. The ogre took advantage of her instability to swipe its claws and pounce. Fortunately, she quickly stood up and dodged, seeing the injury on the Gyaru, watching the ogre immediately attack her again. The leader guy quickly turned to shout at the chatty glasses guy that the monster is too strong, hoping he'd stop this training. But the chatty glasses guy shook his head in denial, saying the Saintess instructed harsh training. Also, everyone hasn't figured out one thing. Hero candidates with blessings blessings absolutely cannot lose to this type of monster. Looking at the Gyaru on the field, she was gritting her teeth, muttering quietly how annoying. The next second, she released even fiercer flames. The fierce fire instantly surrounded the ogre, burning it so it didn't dare take another step forward. The leader guy looked at the Gyaru on the field with an expression of disbelief. He asked if different mindsets could have such a big difference. The chatty glasses guy emphasized determination is most important, saying everyone already has powerful strength, just that confusion and fear prevent them from using it. The chatty glasses guy also said after raising the level of divine blessings, will obtain other derivative blessings. At this moment, I stepped forward. The leader guy turned, asking what's up. I pointed at the leader guy, saying he's already awakened a derivative blessing and activated appraisal, Holy Breaker Sword Blessing level 2, Monster Slayer Blessing level 1, Swordsmanship level reach level 4. The leader guy stared at the interface, eyes shining. He clenched his fist, asking the chatty glasses guy if he could try the new blessing. After receiving permission, the leader guy immediately jumped into the battlefield, his movements graceful, activating Holy Breaker Sword and Monster Slayer skill. The ogre felt the pressure and kept retreating, eyes showing panic. The leader guy stepped forward, saying he won't hold back. He launched an offensive, fiercely stabbing at the ogre. The long sword slashed horizontally, cutting off the ogre's arm. The ogre fell to its knees in pain with a boom. The leader guy didn't give it breathing room, raising his sword to charge up a big move. Finally swung the sword down, cutting off the ogre's head. I secretly guessed my appraisal might have leveled up. Perhaps others awakening new abilities could also be used. My gaze lightly swept across everyone. Suddenly noticed the school bully's aura was abnormal. Then I activated appraisal, seeing the delinquent's attribute interface, Explosion Blessing level 2, Landmine Blessing level 1, Hand-to-hand combat reach level 3. Didn't expect the delinquent also derived a new blessing. But since he always picks on me, I don't plan to tell him. My current strength can hardly stand firm in this world, must hurry to strengthen my own abilities. Before I knew it, night fell. The school bully secretly gathered a group to discuss matters. The blonde guy swallowed, asking if the delinquent is serious. The delinquent nodded, saying first kill the old knight, then capture the saintess to force her to tell how to return. Hearing this, the yes man clenched his fist, wishing he could leave right now. The follower agreed and suggested killing the saintess. The delinquent stated bluntly he's fed up with their attitude, turned to ask if the blonde guy will join forces. The blonde guy frowned, questioning the feasibility of this move. The delinquent said as long as he joins there will be more ways to achieve it. The blonde guy gritted his teeth, hesitating, but he thought of the discipline committee, who was once injured, finally made up his mind and nodded in agreement. I flew away, sensing this group causing trouble will definitely lead to chaos. Need to keep a close eye on them. Early the next morning, the grass field was warmed by the sun, everyone training enthusiastically. Even the lazy blonde was seriously pondering how to use wind to blow stones farther. The leader guy practiced until he was drenched in sweat, his shirt back soaked through, yet still unsatisfied. He shouted at me that his strength is still far behind. He wants to become stronger to protect everyone. I asked him if he can defeat most knights in this country now. He admitted he can't. I asked him what he thinks about the saintess and old knight. He honestly said he knows everyone is being used by them to go to war, but believes obeying won't lead to injury. I tested him, asking if he'd risk his life to fight the demon king. The leader guy said he's already made up his mind. I tilted my head and continued listening. He said he wants to be an excellent hero and defeat the demon king alone. I casually asked him, and then what? He answered, saying this way he'd have enough ability to negotiate conditions with the saintess to ensure everyone's safety. I looked at his silly smile without calling him out. At this time, the saintess and old knight arrived. The chatty glasses guy ran forward like a lapdog. He bent down, nearly touching the ground, calling them lord. That fawning appearance was uncomfortable to watch. The saintess said she'd be leaving for a few days, entrusting supervision of training to the chatty glasses guy, who patted his chest, guaranteeing he'd handle it. The Gyaru asked where they're going. The saintess didn't answer, just saying she'd be away for a while. Then she turned to take the old knight and leave. After they left, the corner of the chatty glasses guy's mouth secretly curved into a wicked smile. I immediately followed silently. I heard the old knight ask if this is good. The saintess sipped tea leisurely, saying someone wants to rebel. She wants to see their actions, won't interfere for now, conveniently see the training results of the hero candidates. The old knight asked what the saintess's plan is. The saintess smiled, saying she's just curious how the demon king's people will act. The old knight worried the hero candidates are just students after all, can't handle such a big scene. But the saintess just laughed, didn't answer the old knight's question, only saying it's time to teach the demon king's people about hierarchy. She wants to crush this rebellion and break their fangs. The old knight knew the saintess had her own plans, so didn't ask further. The carriage gradually moved away, startling the cattle by the roadside. As evening approached, I couldn't continue tracking, so I turned toward the forest depths. Hadn't gone far when I was followed by a sticky monster. I jumped up on a rock in a few steps, pulled out a throwing knife. Whoosh! The throwing knife pierced the monster's vital point. The monster twitched twice, then stopped moving. I muttered to myself in complaint. Actually took 10 seconds. Really shouldn't have. I activated appraisal blessing to check my attributes. Appraisal blessing rose to level 2, gained new mark weakness blessing level 1. Must have leveled up when I killed the assassin last time. The point is how to use this new blessing. While thinking, suddenly there was movement. An ogre taller than a tree swung its fist. The wind from the punch was strong, blowing my hair messy. I hurriedly dodged to the side. Its fist smashed into a boulder. Stone fragments flew everywhere, a complete mess on the ground. The ogre roared, glaring with blood-red eyes, and pounced at me. I pulled out 3 hidden weapons. Ting ting ting, 3 sounds, all hit their marks, but were bounced back by the ogre's tough hide and fell to the ground. I couldn't help crying out inside, not good. This guy's hide is too too tough, but I thought again, perfect chance to try the new skill, so I concentrated and activated Mark Weakness. A dark red dot appeared on the ogre's tough hide. I kicked off the ground with both feet, leaping up, took out the throwing knife from my chest, aimed at the red dot and threw it hard. The blade penetrated without obstruction. The ogre let out an ear-piercing scream, crashed to the ground with a boom, twitched twice, and died. After landing steadily, I examined the corpse. Mark Weakness is indeed useful, can precisely find the enemy's weak point. However, this bit of ability is far from enough. In a place full of monsters with demon assassins lurking, these skills are hard to survive on, so I must become stronger, strong enough that no one dares treat me as a pawn. At this moment, wind blew from deep in the forest, carrying the fragrance of grass and trees and a dangerous aura. A group of goblins suddenly jumped out from the grass. I immediately activated Mark Weakness. Saw red dots light up on the goblins' heads and chests. I gripped my throwing knife and lightened my steps. Like wind, I darted into the enemy group, precisely stabbing the red dots. The goblins fell in unison, taking less than 3 seconds total. I put away my knife, muttering, "This is overkill, way overqualified." After that, I planned to go deeper into the forest to find tougher monsters to test the new blessing. Suddenly, there were light footsteps from behind. I quickly turned and hid behind a tree, holding my breath. Saw a slender figure slowly approaching, walking while softly calling my name. Getting closer, I saw clearly it's the Ice Queen. I walked out from behind the tree, asking her purpose. Her cheeks slightly red, said seeing I wasn't in the dorm, she guessed I was training in the forest and specially came to check. Sure enough, found me here. I sighed, saying she's really bold. The forest at night is much more dangerous than daytime. Told her to hurry back. She suddenly bristled, face flushed red, saying she should be the one saying that. So I told her I'm used to nighttime activities, and she's not suited for nighttime combat. At night, monsters are more ferocious. With her poor vision, she'll be in trouble if not careful. But she wasn't appreciative, even complained I'm naggy, and pressed me about my purpose coming here. I directly told her I'm testing my newly awakened blessing, while also improving combat ability. Thinking of what the chatty glasses guy once said, the Ice Queen's eyes lit up, pressing about what my new blessing is. I turned to look at her. This is my trump card, can't be revealed. I stated I have no obligation to tell her. She immediately got angry, stomping her foot, saying she worried about me and specially ran here, yet I treat her like this. I raised an eyebrow, deliberately teasing her. Are you worried about me? Her face instantly turned red like an apple, hurriedly waving her hands, denying worrying about me. I still need to continue testing, so didn't joke with her anymore, telling her to quickly leave here. She just said she wants to stay with me, then turned to look elsewhere. She pointed to the distance, asking what's that. I looked in the direction she pointed. In the distance, the night sky was dyed bright red, thick smoke rolling from the direction of our dormitory. My heart sank. I took off running. The Ice Queen quickly followed my footsteps. We both returned to the dormitory area at fastest speed. Goblins kept emerging from the sea of fire. Ogres and bow lizards. These monsters were pouncing at the panicked crowd. The quiet girl with no attack ability was scared and running around everywhere. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the leader guy appeared, neatly killing the ogre. He held his light sword blocking in front of the quiet girl, concernedly asking if she's okay. The quiet girl thanked him, saying she's fine. While the two were talking, another group of goblins surrounded them. The leader guy tightly protected the quiet girl behind him. The quiet girl's face pale white, gripping the leader guy's clothes corner, swallowing but not daring to make a sound. The leader guy's sword swung quickly but couldn't match the increasing monsters. At this time, the Gyaru rushed over, hair disheveled, cursing, saying they disturbed her sleep. Fireballs ignited in her hands, viciously smashing at the monsters. The leader guy saw the Gyaru arrive and breathed a sigh of relief. After moving the quiet girl to a safe place, fought side by side with the Gyaru. The Ice Queen and I charged forward together to help. The closer to the crowd, the more vigorous the flames. The blonde guy ran from the chaotic fire, seeing we're okay, patted his chest in relief. I quickly asked him what happened. He scratched his head, saying he doesn't know. The dorm suddenly caught fire. When he ran out, he saw monsters everywhere. I scanned the surroundings, observed the monsters' movements were deliberate and uniform, not like random attacks. So I judged it's definitely man-made, and the mastermind must be hiding nearby. Just as I was searching around, a familiar voice came from overhead, saying my deduction is correct. Looking up, I saw the chatty glasses guy sitting on the roof with a weird smile on his face. My heart's alarm bells rang loudly, but if he's the mastermind, then everything makes sense. The chatty glasses guy admitted without hiding, saying these monsters are all his experimental subjects. They've all been drugged, now abnormally powerful. I stared at him, asking what his purpose is. What benefit does killing hero candidates give him? He chuckled, saying this is orders from above. Even sacrificing everything he has, he must eliminate us. The Ice Queen questioned if it's the Saintess's orders. The chatty glasses guy stood up, shaking his head, saying it has nothing to do with the Saintess. The one who gave orders is the Demon King. The blonde guy was directly stunned, eyes wide as saucers. Never imagined the chatty glasses guy is a Demon King's army spy. The chatty glasses guy said proudly, after completing the mission, the demon realm will give him better treatment. I looked at his face, feeling disgusted inside. For researching monsters, he willingly submitted to the Demon King, completely without bottom line. He pushed his glasses with a cold laugh, saying as a human he can't thoroughly understand the mysteries of monsters. The madness in his eyes made my scalp scalp tingle. I gripped my throwing knife, calculating inside. He's harder to deal with than the previous assassin, knows our situation and strengthened the monsters. A tough battle is inevitable. But I only have one thought, must solve him today or it'll be more troublesome later. Just heard the chatty glasses guy standing on the roof like a clown issuing attack orders. The monsters, strengthened by drugs, instantly went crazy and pounced, their claws and fangs flashing terrifying cold light in the firelight. The Ice Queen reacted quickly, taking a step forward. She immediately activated Control Blessing, trying to make the monsters stop moving, then tried to control these monsters to turn and attack the chatty glasses guy. Unexpectedly, the chatty glasses guy let out a mocking laugh, then chanted a spell in a low voice. Those monsters that were about to stop suddenly resumed action, eyes glaring bright red, charging at us in an even fiercer posture. The Ice Queen immediately panicked, face turning pale white. The chatty glasses guy proudly proclaimed as a monster researcher he's long prepared, confidently stating he naturally has ways to deal with monster betrayal. Then he ordered the monsters to attack the Ice Queen. I urgently shouted for the Ice Queen to retreat back, while pulling out throwing knives, stepping forward to fight. In the blink of an eye, solved a group of goblins. The chatty glasses guy, seeing this, let out even more rampant laughter. Immediately more monsters launched a siege on me. I leapt up to counterattack, left hand one knife solving a goblin, right hand one knife slashing at a bow lizard, turning to rush straight at an ogre, throwing knives in hand, slashing horizontally and vertically, beating the monsters until they had no ability to fight back. Finally, these monsters all fell to the ground. The remaining monsters were intimidated by my killing aura, cowering, not daring to come forward. The chatty glasses guy's eyes turned red with rage, roaring loudly. He angrily scolded these monsters as all useless, while belittling my blessing as not worth mentioning. I coldly snorted, secretly activating appraisal. The chatty glasses guy's attributes appeared before my eyes. The interface showed he's already half demonized and mastered enslavement magic level 1. I recalled he once said high-level demons can control monsters. Only then, understanding the Ice Queen's skill failed because it was suppressed by higher-level enslavement. Just saw the chatty glasses guy gritting his teeth in rage, starting to chant obscure spells. My heart tightened. Not good. Sternly questioned what tricks he wants to pull. The chatty glasses guy smiled sinisterly, not giving a direct answer. I planned to rush up and subdue him before he finishes casting. Unexpectedly, fierce flames suddenly ignited at my feet. The scorching fire forced me to retreat in panic. Looking up again, shocked to see a giant dragon circling in the air, whole body burning with blazing flames. The chatty glasses guy laughed maniacally, declaring this is his trump card. The red dragon glared with its eyes, letting out an earth-shattering roar. It suddenly dived down, bringing scorching airwaves, making the students freeze on the spot. The Ice Queen's face went pale, realizing she couldn't dodge in time. I didn't hesitate to hug her and roll to the side, narrowly avoiding the red dragon's sharp claws. After confirming the Ice Queen was okay, I faced the red dragon again. The blonde guy arrived in time behind us, asking about the situation. I immediately told the blonde guy to take the Ice Queen and evacuate to a safe area first. At this time, the red dragon launched another diving attack. I faced it alone and activated Mark Weakness. Quickly found the red dragon's fatal weak point. I suddenly swung my throwing knife, viciously slashing at that reverse scale. However, the dragon scales were so hard the blade shattered. The red dragon only paused briefly, not injured at all. I looked at the damaged throwing knife. My heart couldn't help but become anxious, realizing my attack power can't hurt it at all. Just then, the school bully suddenly appeared on the battlefield. He activated Explosion Blessing, rushing straight at the red dragon, then handsomely leaped down from above. After landing confidently, turned around laughing, thought he'd succeeded. Unexpectedly, the red dragon suddenly opened its mouth, spewing flames. The delinquent couldn't dodge in time, got burned, rolling on the ground, wailing in pain. I had no time to mock his sorry state, only thinking his explosion ability might come in handy. After the delinquent gritted his teeth and climbed up, I called out to him and proposed teaming up. The delinquent, upon hearing, looked down his nose disdainfully, his face written all over with disgust, as if I'm not worthy. I pointed out the key issue bluntly, but he stubbornly refused cooperation, confidently believing he alone could handle it. Then I'll just wait and see. At this time, the red dragon suddenly swung its body, huge wings stirring up fierce winds. We both leaped up to avoid the attack. Before we could stand steady, the red dragon spewed fire again. The delinquent had no time to dodge at all. Raging flames rushed at his face. He could only raise his hands to protect his face. Result, his hair got burned more than half, his usual arrogant demeanor completely gone. I coldly scolded him, if he's so capable, then don't be afraid of getting burned. The delinquent clenched his fists in anger. Finally, he recognized the reality, asking me about the red dragon's weak point location. I pointed out the reverse scale at the dragon's throat is the vital spot. Then I proposed I'll attract the dragon's attention while he goes to explode that reverse scale. The delinquent pouted, reluctantly agreeing to cooperate. The chatty glasses guy, seeing this, urgently roared, urging the red dragon to quickly finish us off. The red dragon, receiving orders, roared and pounced, sharp claws bringing wind as if to tear us apart. The delinquent and I held on desperately, trying hard to deal with the red dragon. Finally, I found the right timing. I gripped my throwing knife, deliberately getting close to the dragon, using the blade tip to stab at dragon scales to enrage it, while constantly moving to attract its attention. Successfully drew the red dragon's full attention. The red dragon raised its head, preparing to breathe fire. I dodged to the side in time, rolling sideways to a safe position, then shouted loudly for the delinquent to act. The delinquent seized the moment and leapt up, both hands condensing dazzling red light, accurately aimed at the reverse scale and activated explosion. With a thunderous boom, red light exploded. The red dragon let out an ear-splitting scream. Its massive body crashed heavily to the ground. The red dragon completely lost its breath. The chatty glasses guy's eyes widened in shock, face full of disbelief. The delinquent put hands on hips, laughing, saying easy work. Looking at his battered but strong appearance, I silently complained he's saving face. He immediately glared back, that proud look just like a child. I turned to tell the chatty glasses guy his trump card is lost, advise him to give up and surrender early. Looking at the monster corpses all over the ground, the chatty glasses guy completely fell into panic. At this moment, a sword light flashed before his eyes. The leader guy holding his light sword walked out from the firelight. He announced all monsters have been cleared. The chatty glasses guy tried to escape in rage. The blonde guy had somehow already climbed onto the roof. The chatty glasses guy got scared and his feet slipped. His whole person fell straight down from the high wall. He hurriedly activated water skill, wrapping himself. Finally landed safely on the ground. I immediately rushed forward, aiming my throwing knife at him. Calculating inside, finally can obtain some intel about the Demon King. The chatty glasses guy even pleaded repeatedly to spare his life, promising to confess everything. However, before he could speak, purple toxins had rapidly spread throughout his body. The leader guy and Gyaru frowned, coming forward to check. The next second, the chatty glasses guy collapsed to the ground. I stepped forward to check, confirming he's already dead. The leader guy asked, confused about the cause of death. I recalled records I'd read in the library, a curse that kills upon revealing secrets, so I explained to everyone he died from a magic curse. The day after the glasses guy caused the disturbance, the Saintess and Old Knight slowly returned to the castle. Upon hearing about last night's events, the Saintess showed an expression that was half smile. She softly murmured, how could this happen? Her tone without the slightest worry but rather carrying regret. The blonde guy couldn't suppress his anger and directly rebutted the Saintess. He sternly pointed out the Saintess shouldn't have left us in the chatty glasses guy's charge. The Saintess covered her mouth, laughing lightly, saying, this is a misunderstanding. She explained everyone completely misunderstood her intention, said she originally thought that level of monsters couldn't possibly cause serious harm. Hearing this explanation, everyone was even more furious. The Gyaru's face turned red with anger on the spot, questioning if the Saintess knew all along but deliberately let it be. The Saintess admitted without hiding this was part of the training. Someone couldn't help complaining we almost died in our sleep, not understanding why the Saintess did this. The old knight's eyes widened in anger, shouting loudly, he severely accused us of being willful and lacking vigilance. Everyone was immediately speechless. I secretly pondered we were originally just ordinary high school students. Demanding we immediately heighten vigilance is really too much. The Saintess timely changed the subject, demanding we go to the capital. The leader guy asked the purpose of going to the capital. The Saintess explained the capital will hold a hero candidate debut parade. She emphasized we'll all be the stars of this parade, then ordered the old knight to lead us to depart. Traveling until nightfall, the old knight ordered to stop advancing. He required everyone to rest well before dawn. The guards responded to orders in unison. The team began to camp by the roadside. While warming by the fire, I noticed the school bully and his group acting suspiciously. Listening carefully, it was the delinquent chewing dry rations, counting heads. The yes man leaned forward, asking in a low voice. The delinquent scolded him for being stupid without good humor. The yes man immediately flattered, saying the soldiers are weak, claiming the delinquent could knock them out with one punch. The follower didn't understand. If soldiers are so weak, why bother counting total numbers? The delinquent scolded them for being slow, pointing out this is the perfect opportunity to execute the plan. The yes man slapped his thigh, finally reacting. He pointed out today's guard numbers are even fewer than us. The delinquent chewed dry rations, letting out a cold laugh, thinking the Saintess and Old Knight obviously aren't taking them seriously, thinking they wouldn't dare launch a rebellion. The delinquent gave an evil smile, ordering immediate action tonight, commanding his lackeys to summon the blonde guy and others. I hid in the tree shadows behind the tent, hearing their plot clearly. Rash action will only backfire. This is definitely not the Saintess and Old Knight's negligence, but because they have absolute controlling power. To prevent the delinquent from making things worse, I immediately found the leader guy, told him everything I saw and heard. As team leader with strong sense of responsibility, the leader guy said he must stop this disturbance. Deep into the night, the last campfire was extinguished. The school bully and blonde and others gathered in the nearby forest, everyone's face mixed with tension and excitement. The delinquent asked about the situation. The blonde guy lowered his voice, reporting most soldiers are already asleep. The delinquent waved his hand, issuing action orders. Just as several people were about to step out, the leader guy's voice came from behind. The delinquent and others trembled all over in fright. Turning around, they saw the leader guy with the Gyaru, Ice Queen, and other classmates standing not far away. The delinquent was obviously panicking. He never expected the action to be exposed before it even started. He demanded harshly how the leader guy knew about the plan. The leader guy's expression, serious, explained he happened to pass by and heard their plot. The Gyaru frowned, tightly scolding their idea as too absurd, although dissatisfied with the Saintess and Old Knight shouldn't take such extreme measures. The delinquent's face turned green with rage, roaring in rebuttal on the spot, cursing the leader guy's group as unable to distinguish right from wrong, only acting as the Saintess's lapdogs. The leader guy sighed, saying he understands their feelings but emphasized there will always be better solutions. The delinquent sneered, asking what good methods the leader guy could have. The leader guy solemnly stated he's willing to take on the responsibility of subjugating the Demon King alone, to exchange for the saintess guaranteeing everyone's safety. The delinquent frowned, showing doubtful expression, mocking that the leader guy actually expects the saintess to agree to such conditions. The leader guy firmly stated as long as he becomes stronger he can gain negotiation qualifications. The delinquent disdainfully spat, declaring even if the saintess agrees he won't accept, he must return to the original world. The leader guy was silent for a moment, solemnly stating if they insist on action he'll do everything to stop them. The delinquent angrily cursed bastard, leading the yes man and others to launch attacks. He struck while warning the leader guy not to regret it. The two sides quickly got into a scuffle, and I believe in the leader guy's ability, so chose to continue hiding behind the tree, appearing only when the leader guy can't handle it. The leader guy swung his sword to block the delinquent's offensive, his forehead sweating, arms trembling from impact. The delinquent's explosion power is truly astonishing. Didn't expect the leader guy could actually withstand it. Just then, the guards on duty noticed the abnormal commotion. Several people rushed rapidly in this direction, loudly asking what they're doing gathering here so late. The delinquent immediately panicked, afraid their plan would be exposed. The leader guy hurriedly waved at the guards, smoothing things over, saying they're just chatting. The guards clicked their tongues, urging everyone to rest early, didn't investigate deeply, and turned to leave. When the leader guy looked back at the delinquent and his group, the delinquent had already turned to leave. The leader guy called out to the delinquent, however the delinquent stated he has no interest in communicating with him at all. The leader guy still wanted to continue persuading, but the delinquent said the leader guy's naivety is frighteningly so. Finally arrived at the capital of the holy nation of Digaresto. As soon as we stepped through the city gates, everyone was overwhelmed by the scene before us. Streets on both sides were packed with crowds, hawking voices and laughter intertwined together, incredibly lively. The blonde guy looked left and right, eyes going straight. The discipline committee frowned and sighed, face full of annoyance. The Gyaru's lips curved into a smile, full of interest, finding this place quite fascinating. Our group moved forward in grand procession. Passers-by stopped one after another, curiously sizing us up. The old knight walked at the very front, brows tightly furrowed, sternly ordering the crowd to make way, while pointing out that the saintess sits in the carriage, and we are the hero candidates. Hearing his words, the crowd instantly boiled over, shouting hero candidates and chosen by the gods, eyes full of expectation. The leader guy enjoyed this adulation, raising his hand to acknowledge everyone, face wearing a confident smile. The school bully made a disgusted sound, turned his head away, treating the surrounding cheers as noise. I watched that group of fanatical citizens, secretly observing everything. Looks like they truly see us as their hope for salvation. Looking at the ice queen beside me, she seemed attracted by something else. I followed her gaze toward the distant castle. That castle stood tall and imposing, glittering coldly in the sunlight, exuding an unfathomable majesty. Suddenly, a knight in gorgeous armor with golden hair walked toward us, his face wearing a programmed smile, introducing himself as a holy knight in a fake tone, not only warmly welcoming everyone's arrival, but also inviting us to rest at our lodgings first. After arriving at the dormitory, the boys either cheered excitedly or collapsed straight onto beds. The girls made plans together to go soak in hot springs and relax. At dinner time, everyone sat around the table feasting, looking like people meeting rain after a long drought. After the meal, the leader guy came to the courtyard to practice swordsmanship. Clearly his technique had improved considerably. I never liked crowding into excitement anyway, so taking advantage of the guards' lax attention, I quietly slipped out, planning to investigate around the capital and gather intelligence. But the entire city was heavily guarded. Entrances and exits everywhere had people standing watch, and patrolling soldiers filled the streets and alleys. One misstep and you'd be questioned as a suspicious person. I was about to go look around elsewhere when I saw a few people chatting not far away. It was that holy knight from before with 2 guards, so I quickly hid behind a tree, holding my breath to eavesdrop on their conversation. One guard asked where the hero candidates had gone. The holy knight responded saying everyone is resting in their guest rooms. Another guard questioned whether the hero candidates were truly chosen by the creator god, but the holy knight stated with certainty that their power is absolutely beyond ordinary people. At this time, one guard changed the subject, worrying the demon king's followers might make a move recently. The other guard quickly agreed, saying the followers' small actions have been continuous, also suggesting strengthening the capital's defenses. I silently repeated Demon King's followers in my mind. This is the first time I've heard this title. Just heard the holy knight say dismissively, no need to worry. With hero candidates stationed here, everyone will be safe. The 2 guards laughed in response, then left together. Since I have doubts in my heart, I must get to the bottom of it. So I decided to go ask around on the streets about what Demon King followers are. The full moon hung high, sprinkling down pale silver light. I took advantage of the night, moving through the streets like a shadow. I walked into a tavern with lights on. Inside the tavern were all kinds of people, fist-guessing shouts one after another, wine cups clinking mixed with laughter and conversation. All kinds of information gather here, so it's a good place to collect intelligence. I pulled out gold coins, signaling the owner to bring beer and snacks. The white-haired balding owner took the money and quickly turned to prepare. I pricked up my ears, carefully searching for useful information. Just happened to hear someone mocking the hero candidates as weak and frail. The person beside him quickly grabbed him, afraid these words reaching the church's ears would cause trouble. After listening to their conversation, I generally understood that here the church's power is overwhelming. Compared to royalty and nobility, everyone fears the church more. At this time, the owner brought the beer and snacks. I took the opportunity to pose as a traveler, asking him some questions, even specifically mentioning Demon King followers. The owner was stunned, scratched his head, and asked me back if I know this country is at war with the Demon King's army. Then continued saying, the Demon King is extremely vicious, but because his power is astonishing, he's attracted quite a few human followers. These people are Demon King followers, and they've been causing trouble everywhere. Recently even blew up a noble's house. I verbally agreed, saying they're too disruptive to the public, but inside I'd already reached a conclusion. They're nothing more than a terrorist organization. Then I walked out of the tavern, the streets still noisy. I pondered in my heart, the country publicizing hero candidates so much, Demon King followers hearing about it will definitely be furious. But just then, the Ice Queen's voice suddenly came from behind. I turned around, saw her excitedly calling my name, also curiously asking what I'm doing. I answered as a matter of course. Arriving in unfamiliar territory, naturally must collect intelligence first. The Ice Queen frowned, saying me acting alone is too dangerous, also sneaked a glance at me, quietly suggesting she wants to help. I wanted to refuse, tell her to return to her companions, but she instantly bristled, face full of displeasure. I sighed helplessly, ultimately compromising, troubling her to go around the streets and collect more intelligence about the capital. The Ice Queen's eyes instantly lit up, agreeing with a face full of surprise, then hummed a tune and left cheerfully. Actually, I already knew someone was hiding in the shadows, continuously observing me in secret, corner of their mouth occasionally curving into an ill-intentioned cold smile. But I don't plan to directly expose them, instead want to leave some time to see what exactly they're plotting. By the time I silently climbed through the window back to the dorm, that figure quietly retreated. I lay on the bed, pondering to myself, the person tailing me will expose themselves sooner or later, and since I've figured out this new enemy, the Demon King followers, might as well rest up for now. Suddenly there was an uproar outside. Assassin instincts made me instantly alert. I quickly pulled open the door and walked to the hall. The hall gathered quite a few classmates, everyone whispering to each other, faces full of anxiety. I stepped forward asking what happened. A short-haired girl's face went pale, telling me the Ice Queen is missing. She said she and the Ice Queen share a room, but the Ice Queen still hasn't returned. Everyone already searched everywhere but haven't seen her. Hearing this, I couldn't help worrying inside. The leader guy saw me and quickly walked over, asking if I have any clues about the Ice Queen. I shook my head, lying that I'd been sleeping in my room the whole time. No, nothing. The leader guy looked disappointed. He wondered how during this time the Ice Queen was obviously always circling around me. How could I know nothing? After a while, the leader guy worried nighttime movement is inconvenient, urged everyone to search for the Ice Queen together first thing in the morning. The Gyaru pouted, complaining she doesn't want to deal with the Ice Queen's business at all, but she's still willing to follow the leader guy's arrangements. I think the Ice Queen being out alone so late at night is too dangerous. I must find her right now. So after everyone dispersed, I slipped out of the dorm again. For me, a dark and windy environment is actually more suitable for action. I followed my memory, searching in the direction she left earlier. Walking to a secluded alley, I suddenly discovered something unusual. Saw a shiny object lying on the ground. I went forward to pick it up and look. Found it's the Ice Queen's student handbook. Just gripped the handbook when footsteps came from behind. Several dark shadows suddenly launched an attack on me. Good thing my reaction was fast enough, dodging to the side while simultaneously twisting one person's wrist with my backhand, also pulled hard forward. The sword in his hand instantly stabbed toward another person behind me. The attacker cursed furiously in rage. I went up with one kick, sent him flying to the ground, directly stomped his head to pieces. The others seeing this were all terrified. I dispatched them without mercy in 3 moves. But to learn the Ice Queen's whereabouts, I still spared one person's life. I activated appraisal skill, discovered all of them are actually ordinary humans, and their attack, defense, and stamina are extremely low. Seeing that person already scared and trembling, not daring to move at all, I instantly moved in front of that person, demanding the Ice Queen's whereabouts. From his testimony, I figured out the Ice Queen's exact location, then sought out an abandoned house and pried open the basement door. The Ice Queen was bound to a pillar with special handcuffs, at this moment glaring forward with a face full of stubbornness. 2 kidnappers continuously forcing the Ice Queen to confess matters. The Ice Queen bit her teeth tightly, saying she absolutely won't leak any information. The kidnappers were already impatient from interrogating. One of them reached out his hand, forcefully tore open the Ice Queen's clothes, wanting to see just how long she can stay stubborn. The 2 then stepped forward, wanting to plot something improper against the Ice Queen. I activated appraisal, saw they're also just ordinary people, so I pulled out 2 throwing knives, fingertips exerting force, precisely hit their heads. The Ice Queen still didn't know what happened, just saw the kidnappers silently collapse to the ground. I quickly asked the Ice Queen if she's okay, while deliberately turning my head away, giving her some dignity. The Ice Queen hearing my voice, her body slightly trembled, face full of guilt. I turned my head to the side, pulling out wire, helping her unlock the handcuffs. The Ice Queen covered her chest with both hands, quietly thanking me. I suggested first leaving this place of trouble. The next second, I detected an intense, dangerous aura. Quickly took the Ice Queen and hid. A sword light suddenly flashed. A person leaped out from the darkness. I picked up the Ice Queen and hurriedly dodged. That person's sword directly split a crack in the ground. I looked back, saw the newcomer is the Holy Knight, that knight who was all smiles during the day, now full of killing intent. I questioned him why the Knight Order would attack hero candidates. The Holy Knight suddenly laughed wickedly, voluntarily revealing he's actually an executive of the Demon King's cult. Hearing this, I placed the Ice Queen in a safe spot, then revealed my own weapon. The Holy Knight raised his sword again, saying, "Just kill us hero candidates and this country is completely finished." I curved my lips, telling him to try it. The Holy Knight waved his great sword, warning me not to be too arrogant. I activated appraisal. Quickly, the Holy Knight's attribute interface appeared. The interface showed he's an all-rounder. His swordsmanship and fire magic both reach level 3. I silently reminded myself the opponent's strength is extremely powerful. Absolutely cannot be careless. The Holy Knight also couldn't figure out my skills, so didn't act rashly. I took advantage of his unpreparedness, taking the initiative to launch an offensive. The Holy Knight instantly raised his sword to block, then swung his sword, launching a swift counterattack. I quickly leapt up to dodge. In the basement, sword lights flashed. We two fought back and forth endlessly. Suddenly, the Holy Knight seemed to discover something, launched a flame attack at me. Blazing fireballs flew fiercely toward me one after another. I quickly leapt up to avoid them. The next second, realized my mistake. Being airborne is an assassin's greatest taboo. However, the Holy Knight had already seized this opportunity, raising his sword and closing in before me. I hastily threw a knife to force him back, but he easily dodged to the side, also mocking this as a waste of effort. Then he wrapped flames around the sword body, turning the sword into a blazing blade. He swung the blazing blade, slashing at me, while saying, "Hero candidate, this is the end for you." At the critical moment, I flipped my waist, pulling out a handgun, squeezing the trigger without hesitation. Bang! The bullet hit right between his eyebrows. He fell straight down. I looked at the handgun in my hand, heart full of helplessness. This was originally a weapon I didn't want to use in this world, and the gun's bullets are limited. Use one, and there's one less. Looking at the Holy Knight's corpse, I reflected on myself. First, shouldn't have jumped into the air and lingered, giving the opponent an opportunity. Second, should practice frontal combat techniques more to avoid falling into a passive position. The Ice Queen walked out from the shadows, face full of terror, looking at the handgun in my hand. I explained lightly, "This is just basic equipment for an assassin." She muttered quietly, saying, "Me carrying a gun is really scary." After a while, the Ice Queen quietly thanked me, also asking if I specially came to save her. I said just coincidence, but inside didn't deny it. I quickly changed the subject, asking why she didn't use her own control power to resist. She lowered her head, answering, saying those handcuffs restrained her magic power. I nodded, casually tossing the jacket I just found to the Ice Queen. After the Ice Queen put it on, she discovered this is exactly her own jacket, heart feeling warm. Her small face turned red, saying I'm a careful person. When leaving the abandoned house, the Ice Queen's expression grave told me those kidnappers' target is to kill our entire class. I nodded, telling her before I came I already made their accomplices confess everything one by one. They not only confessed the kidnappers are all ordinary humans, also said everyone is following orders. The one who truly wants to kill us hero candidates is the Demon King himself, and these humans aren't cursed to silence. They don't know much core information. Dawn broke. The Ice Queen and I walked side by side toward the dorm. The Ice Queen thought of the chatty glasses guy, speaking in a complex tone. She originally thought humans would all be on the same side. Really can't believe there would be such fanatical Demon King followers among humans. I enlightened her, when away from home can't trust anyone easily, also specifically reminded her how she got captured this time. She instantly bristled, arguing how friendly those kidnappers appeared at first. I rationally told her although our main enemy is the Demon King, humans internally aren't united at all. She turned her head, admitting quietly, saying she thought too naively, now already reflecting. Approaching the rooms, suddenly someone in the distance called our names. I focused my eyes. Turns out it's the leader guy, his face full of joy, quickly running toward us. The Ice Queen said with guilt, made him and other classmates worry. The leader guy waved his hand, saying people being safe is the greatest thing. I called out to the leader guy, saying there's important matters to tell. The leader guy noticed my expression wasn't right, knew we must have encountered something important. I then revealed the matter of the Demon King's cult. Those human fanatics worship the Demon King, and their core target is exactly US hero candidates. The leader guy frowned worriedly, stating if the enemy is human, it's indeed hard to distinguish friend from foe. I agreed, also telling him to quickly remind all classmates to heighten vigilance. The leader guy thinks this matter must be reported to the Saintess, seeking guidance. The Ice Queen pouted, saying the Saintess will most likely just tell us to figure it out ourselves. The leader guy was silent for a while, suggesting first gathering everyone to discuss countermeasures together. Just then, suddenly a loud bang came from not far away, also billowing thick smoke. The three of us exchanged glances, immediately rushing toward the incident site. After arriving, we were all shocked by the scene before us. A group of black-clothed people holding weapons had already surrounded all students. The leader guy's expression changed. Realizing the situation is critical, I gripped the throwing knives in my hand tightly, knowing a fierce battle is about to begin, immediately prepared to meet the attack. The next second, dense crowds of black-clothed people swarmed over like tidal waves. Classmates subconsciously assumed combat stances, their hands gripping weapons slightly tightened. Even the most timid classmates bit their teeth, not retreating half a step. I quickly activated appraisal blessing, scanning the enemies before me. A total of 6 combatants. Though their ability values are low, they exude the ruthlessness of professional training. The leading black-clothed person issued orders in a low voice. The remaining black-clothed people pounced at us like hungry wolves. The sound of clashing blades mixed with urgent footsteps. I turned, calling the Ice Queen's name. She immediately understood, raising her hand. Control blessing's magic power rippled out like waves. The charging black-clothed people instantly stiffened, unable to move. I took advantage, throwing knives. Silver light flashed, precisely precisely hitting their foreheads. They fell like puppets with cut strings. Even final groans couldn't escape their throats. The leader guy's pupils suddenly contracted. He reminded me, trembling, "These are humans, not monsters." I glared at him hard, sneering coldly inside. "Enemies seeking our lives. What difference from bloodthirsty monsters?" The leader guy still wanted to argue, saying shouldn't be so ruthless toward humans. I sharply cut off this pointless dispute. After all, there's still a fish that slipped through the net, urgently needing resolution. That black shadow flashed behind the leader guy like a ghost. Swords collided, bursting out harsh ringing sounds. The leader guy gritted his teeth, questioning why the other betrayed humanity. But that person coldly spit out the declaration, "Dedicate myself to my lord." The Ice Queen wanted to step forward to help. I reached out, stopping her impulsive action. Should let the naive leader taste reality's cruelty. Can't live forever in the fantasy of not daring to stain hands with blood. Between sword lights, the leader guy suddenly exerted force. With a crisp crack, the opponent's weapon broke. He panted, trying to persuade surrender, but got the opponent's angry roar in return. Then that person suddenly leapt down, slashing. Taking advantage of the leader guy's soft-heartedness and reluctance to strike back, he injured the leader guy's arm. Blood meandered down from the wound. The last trace of hesitation in the leader guy's eyes finally dissipated. The sharp sword in his hand carried determination, slicing through air. That person still laughed maniacally when falling. Still trembling and roaring, "He can fight again." I walked near him, telling the leader guy to give him a quick end. He frowned, saying, "Why finish off someone already dying?" I shook my head, severing his weak thoughts. Leaving a disaster will only harm more companions. The leader guy suddenly questioned me excitedly why I'm so cold. I looked directly at his trembling pupils, softly reminding him of the principle of weighing priorities. In every minute and second he hesitates, other classmates might be on the brink of death. After all, he's the class's strongest reliance. Should we sacrifice companions' vitality for one enemy? The leader guy's fist clenched and loosened, finally dejectedly lowered his sword edge, telling the Ice Queen and me to go rescue other classmates first. He'll stay here to clean up the aftermath. The other battlefield was already splattered with blood, the school bully like a descended demon. The last enemy was lifted by his collar, while his face wore a victorious smile. In the roar of the delinquent's explosion blessing, the enemy was blown to pieces, finally turned into charred remains. The yes man and follower widened their eyes, falling over themselves to flatter the school bully for being mighty. The Gyaru's battlefield completely became her personal show. Flames storm ignited around the Gyaru. The shout burned to ashes echoed throughout the battlefield. Black-clothed people were forced to retreat step by step, but she complained irritably, "Enemies are endless to kill." Also turned to angrily scold those hesitant classmates, questioning them. Clearly still have combat power. Why cower and not advance? The Gyaru reminded them if they don't act, the ones dying will be themselves. Before her words finished, short-haired girl was kicked in the abdomen by a black-clothed person. Ponytail was also chased by a black-clothed person raising his sword. The Gyaru was about to rush to help but suddenly froze in place. The Saintess had somehow already appeared, lightly dropping a verdict saying barely passing marks. Everyone hadn't understood her meaning yet, just heard a black-clothed person roar at that holy figure, accusing her of not coming to interfere. The Saintess maintained her usual smile, lightly stating hero candidates are her subordinates. Stepping in at critical moments is naturally justified. The leading black-clothed person was furious, questioning how she dared rashly interfere with their operation without even bringing guard knights, clearly not taking them seriously. The Saintess's lips curved into a contemptuous arc, stating bluntly they're just outsiders deceived by the Demon King, fundamentally unworthy of being her opponents. These words completely ignited the black-clothed people's fury. In the roar of "Take her down," several black shadows simultaneously pounced at that frail figure. However, the Saintess didn't even move her eyebrows, just lightly uttered two words, "Submit." Pale golden light rippled out like waves. Those rushing figures instantly froze, collapsed to the ground like puppets with cut strings. Couldn't even make a sound. Surrounding gasps arose one after another. Classmates widened their eyes, unable to believe. The Gyaru even stared deadly at the Saintess's actions, subconsciously associating with the Ice Queen's control blessing. But the Saintess coldly interrupted her thoughts, tone carrying undisguised contempt, telling the Gyaru not to compare herself with the Ice Queen. She condescendingly explained whether in intensity or range, her subjugation magic far exceeds control blessing, every word soaked with innate arrogance. The Gyaru frowned tightly, not understanding, pressing why the Saintess, who's always been an observer, would help. The Saintess glanced at her, smiling, saying although she'd prefer they solve it themselves, helping with aftermath is within reason. The Gyaru was silent for a long time, sincerely thanking, but got the Saintess's dismissive response, saying overseeing subordinates is just part of her duties. The remaining Demon King follower on the ground interrupted their conversation, roaring for the Saintess not to ignore them, demanding how exactly she'll dispose of them. The Saintess seemed to just remember their existence, lightly saying, "Oh, forgot they're still alive," then turned to face everyone, lightly uttering the deadly order, "Please kill them all." Classmates immediately cried out in alarm, but bodies moved forward uncontrollably. Although everyone's mouth said don't do this, their steps couldn't stop. Those followers begged in fright repeatedly, but the controlled classmates could only mechanically raise their hands, every movement carved full of struggle. Finally still ended the enemy's lives. The Ice Queen and I stood on high ground, taking in this cruel drama completely. The Saintess's ease made my heart tremble. This is the power of third-level subjugation magic. The Ice Queen beside me sighed softly, analyzing the Saintess's skill far exceeds hers. Whether in power or scale, there's a world of difference. I silently clenched my fist, ripples arising in my heart. Must quickly find a way to counter, otherwise will ultimately become her puppet. After nightfall, the Demon King cultist's attack finally ended, but everyone's mood was abnormally heavy. The Gyaru stood alone in a corner, face no longer showing its usual brightness. The discipline committee stepped forward asking about other girls' conditions. The Gyaru shook her head saying they're still deeply trapped in shadow, clearly suffered a huge blow. The discipline committee sighed saying she expected as much. The blonde guy clenched his fists, face full of anger, accusing the saintess of controlling others to kill people. Truly unforgivable. He turned puzzled asking the Gyaru why she's fine. After all, she was also controlled. The Gyaru smiled bitterly saying she's just fired up. Other girls can't be so open-minded. Tone full of self-blame. The leader guy also fell into deep remorse, blaming himself for not arriving in time, letting companions encounter misfortune. The classmate beside quickly comforted, saying he already did his best. The Ice Queen also softly regretted. If she could have arrived earlier, perhaps could have avoided tragedy. But I shook my head, breaking their fantasy, telling them the result won't change. With our current strength, we fundamentally have no power to counter the saintess. Recalling the earlier scene, after joining forces with the leader guy to repel some followers, we split up to rescue. Although we saved quite a few companions, ultimately we're still a step too late, letting certain classmates suffer harm. I pondered secretly. The Demon King's cult absolutely won't let this go, but losing the Holy Knight, they should behave themselves for a moment. Right now, most urgent is how to deal with the saintess's subjugation magic. I softly called the Ice Queen over, telling her to come with me. Her cheeks instantly flew up with a blush, quietly asking what I want. I didn't answer, directly entered the room. The Ice Queen also followed in shyly. I stated bluntly her ability is similar to subjugation magic, hoping to discuss countermeasures together. The Ice Queen's face got redder, quickly nodding, urgently pressing about the specific plan. I walked to the bedside, taking a deep breath, proposing a bold request, having her try using control blessing to control me. The Ice Queen's heartbeat suddenly lost control, wide pupils full of shock. The day after repelling the Demon King's cult, the capital streets suddenly spread out a grand parade. Cheers surged like tidal waves, and our hero candidate's achievements were decorated so dazzlingly. The leader guy raised his hand, waving toward the crowd, smile bright. The blonde guy and discipline committee also responded to the crowd's enthusiasm, while the school bully rode on a horse expressionless. The Ice Queen's eyes cold as always. I watched the surging crowd, heart rising with bone-chilling cold, couldn't help doubting even this carnival is the saintess's calculation. She first allowed the attack, then intervened to test, now using the parade to consolidate reputation, if truly so, we're just marionettes in her palm. When the parade ended, the saintess's voice lightly fell. She first asked if everyone is present, then announced we're returning to the Temple City Alpha. The Ice Queen's eyes flashed with unfamiliarity and confusion. Seeing this, I explained in a low voice, Alpha is the summoning place, also the saintess's ruling domain. The leader guy stepped forward asking if the saintess is traveling together, but got a negative answer. The saintess explained, the old knight will lead the way, she needs to stay behind to handle follow-up matters. The Gyaru immediately frowned, protesting, saying Alpha's dormitory was already burned down, but the good friends who usually speak for her didn't chime in. The Gyaru turned, looking at the good friends behind her, saw the two of them still trembling, quickly walked over asking what's wrong. They both said nothing's wrong, but their eyes never dared meet the Gyaru's. The saintess suddenly silently approached, gently asking what happened. Ponytail got scared and stumbled, falling. The Gyaru quickly stepped forward to help, thinking friends being like this is all because the saintess forced them to kill people. Fury blazed in the Gyaru's heart, watching the saintess show a meaningful smile. The Gyaru's clenched fist about to swing out, but was urgently stopped by Ponytail. The saintess smiled darkly, leaving behind 4 words until we meet again, then about to leave gracefully. The leader guy gritted his teeth, eyes full of unwillingness. I'm disgusted by the saintess's ease in manipulating hearts, but the school bully suddenly laughed out loud, that laughter hiding sinister calculations. The old knight's deep voice interrupted everyone's thoughts, urging us to depart immediately. When night fell, we camped by the roadside, campfire reflecting tired faces one after another. I glimpsed the school bully leading people sneaking into the forest. Sneering coldly inside, they're finally making their move. But this time, I don't plan to stop them. The Ice Queen beside me somewhat worried, this time confirming the delinquents' rebellious intentions are serious. I then analyzed, the saintess is currently absent, accompanying soldiers only 30-some people. This is indeed the perfect opportunity for rebellion. Deep in the forest, the old knight frowned, asking if dragon-type monsters truly exist. The blonde guy swore he saw it. He looked left and right, preparing to lead the old knight to the designated spot. The old knight said dragon appearances are too dangerous, must report immediately. The blonde guy got anxious, quickly calling out to the old knight, then said he saw the dragon, randomly pointed at a direction. The old knight rushed over urgently. The next second, the old knight realized something was wrong. The school bully's explosion blessing suddenly exploded. The blonde guy instantly flew up, dodging. Although the old knight leapt out of the explosion range in time, he still got injured, staggering and collapsing to the ground. He glared at everyone, roaring angrily with difficulty. The school bully patted dust off his body, while approaching, saying the old knight is too difficult to deal with. The old knight quickly retreated back, feet suddenly making a clicking sound. The delinquent's landmine skill activated with a cold laugh. Even if the old knight used magic defense, still couldn't escape the fate of serious injury. The old knight's eyes filled with disappointment, accusing the delinquent and others' ambush as too despicable. But the delinquent laughed maniacally in response, saying as long as they can kill the old knight, the means don't matter at all. At the same time, the yes man and others instantly formed an encirclement. The old knight took a deep breath, slowly standing up. The delinquent shouted for everyone to attack together. The old knight pulled something from his chest, then released it skyward, mouth saying, "You forced me to this." Just as his words fell, a signal flare suddenly tore through the night sky, exploding into dazzling fireworks. The leader guy in camp stared blankly up at the sky, not knowing what happened. The Ice Queen unconsciously praised, "The exploding fireworks are so beautiful." Only I stood in the shadows, sighing softly. The delinquent ultimately still messed things up. The guards in camp also saw the distress signal in the night sky, immediately gathered discussing, unanimously judging the old knight encountered trouble in the forest. The leading guard just wanted to shout immediate rescue. My short blade like lightning slashed across his throat. The sharp blade edge before sound could emerge, blood already gushed out. The remaining guards, horrified, widened their eyes, but they had no time to raise swords for defense. Were already shrouded by the cold light I swung out. Death's shadow instantly spread. Everyone gathered around, denouncing me. My expression unchanged, raised hand to kill. Then I calmly, slowly spoke the proclamation. "We originally had no grievances or enmity. Just today need to ask you to go to your deaths." Guards cursed endlessly, wailing continuously. The muffled sound of blade entering sheath rose and fell. Warm blood splattered, falling like rain. Dots of scarlet soaking the deep night. A guard roared, questioning why before death. I curved a ice-cold smile, eyes without temperature. In the blink of an eye, all guards collapsed in pools of blood, becoming silent corpses. At the same time, deep in the forest, the battle was fierce. The yes man and follower coordinated left and right, pincer attacking the old knight, offensive swift and targeting vital points, trying to suppress him with numerical advantage. Facing the siege, the old knight's blade stable as rock, swinging and blocking precisely and powerfully, skillfully resolving attacks from all directions, displaying deep combat cultivation. The blonde guy seized the opportunity to activate his skill, holding an enchanted swift wind spear, whistling and throwing from the diagonal rear. An auxiliary companion strengthened the swift wind spear, trying to catch the old knight off guard. The old knight dangerously leapt into midair, avoiding the ambush, before adjusting his body shape. Saw the ambusher with steel blessing emerge from behind the trees, showing a fierce smile. Immediately after, the school bully's explosion blessing thunderously exploded. The old knight's body staggered, breath completely disrupted. He quickly thrust his long sword deep into the mud supporting his body, corner of mouth continuously overflowing with crimson blood. The delinquent slowly approached, face full of mocking smile. The blonde guy anxiously reminded the delinquent, "The signal flare will definitely bring reinforcements. If they don't end the battle quickly, the rebellion plan might fail at the final step." While the delinquent and blonde argued, the old knight suddenly curved a strange smile, saw the saintess's figure descend quietly like moonlight. The delinquent and others instantly stunned, frozen in place, arrogant smugness congealing into deep fear and panic. On the other side at camp, surviving guards were bound tightly on the ground. The leader guy, seeing camp's tragic state and bound guards, hearing forest commotion, turned to the Ice Queen in disbelief, voice trembling, questioning whose idea this is. The Ice Queen's hands didn't stop moving, just explained someone requested she do this. The leader guy, seeing the Ice Queen actually followed someone else's arrangements, face full of surprised confusion. I calmly walked out from the shadows, facing everyone's varied gazes. Without concealing, admitted all of this is my arrangement. The Ice Queen then stepped forward, reporting, saying she's caught 7 rebellion accomplices, but a small number escaped in the chaos. Tone carrying a trace of barely detectable apology. I added lightly, "Those fugitives are all dead now." The leader guy, hearing this, his pupils violently contracted, voice trembling, confirming if I killed the escapees. I nodded. The Ice Queen's tone complex, sighing at my ruthlessness. Though she followed my arrangements, she didn't fully agree with the decisive killing methods. The leader guy loudly questioned why I struck the guards dead. I maintained calm, explaining, already predicted the delinquent and others would rebel, volunteering to eliminate reinforcements only to control the situation, avoid greater chaos. The leader guy gritted his teeth, thinking of the delinquent and others already long disappeared, obviously launched rebellion according to plan. The Gyaru's face full of shock, though she had vague guesses, she never imagined the rebellion plan actually implemented. I unhurriedly pointed at the bound captives, saying, "If we don't prepare early, the one suffering will be us." The leader guy still couldn't accept, heartbroken, accusing me. I gently shook my head, tone firm, stating, "I always follow my own thoughts and action." I reminded him the killing in the forest will cause more casualties. Though the leader guy's heart full of anger and confusion, he also understands now is not the time for argument. He stomped his foot hard, leading others charging toward the dense forest, saying to stop this farce. The scene shifts. The saintess stared at the old knight covered in wounds, tone teasing, saying how pathetic he looks. The old knight smiled bitterly, shaking his head, admitting he's no longer the brave warrior of years past. The blonde guy was scared pale white by the saintess's pressure, panicking, asking the school bully for help. The school bully suppressed the fear in his heart, saying in a deep voice, "There's no way back, can only fight to the death." The follower quickly reminded everyone, the saintess has the ability to control people. The saintess smiled, saying her subjugation magic ability is indeed powerful, but dealing with people who obtained blessings through her is too simple. She doesn't even even want to use it. The school bully was completely enraged by these contemptuous words, loudly roaring at the saintess to fight head-on if she's got the guts. The saintess chuckled lightly, calmly stating she's willing to accept the challenge, will personally let him taste defeat. The old knight worried not using subjugation magic would be too dangerous, but the saintess interrupted him with an unquestionable attitude, displaying the absolute pride of one favored by the gods. The school bully wasn't about to give up, explosion blessing light gathering around his body, fiercely charging at the saintess. The old knight wanted to block, but was lightly pushed aside by the saintess's raised hand. The saintess's fingertips moved lightly, chanting spells in a low voice. The ground shook violently, instantly disrupting the delinquent's balance. Immediately after, the whirlwind she summoned continuously bombarded the delinquent, viciously sending him flying. Fortunately, the blonde guy leapt up in time to catch him, otherwise he'd have been seriously injured from the fall. Without giving everyone breathing room, the saintess's offensive resumed, chanting spells again. Flames instantly wrapped around the yes man, making him cry out in agony. Water rapidly gathered into a sphere, firmly trapping the follower who tried to ambush until he collapsed from suffocation. The remaining people witnessing the scene were all too scared to move, frozen in place. The saintess's calm mockery reignited the delinquent's fury. He struggled, wanting to fight again, but was held tightly by the blonde guy. Just at this standoff, the leader guy and others finally arrived in time. He immediately called out to stop the delinquent and questioned the meaning of opposing the saintess. The delinquent didn't buy it at all, stating he absolutely doesn't agree with the leader guy's naive approach. The leader guy then tried to persuade the blonde guy and others, but the blonde guy's face full of guilt said he really can't trust the saintess. The Gyaru, seeing this, immediately stepped forward, declaring she stands with the delinquent and blonde, and asked the leader guy back why he doesn't join them. The discipline committee quickly tried to mediate, emphasizing violence ultimately can't solve problems. Seeing everyone arguing internally, the saintess finally sneered out loud, claiming everyone has already launched rebellion, she absolutely won't easily let anyone go. Everyone instantly fell into panic. The saintess no longer gave them time to hesitate, summoning an even stronger tornado sweeping out. The blonde guy struggled with all his might to resist with magic power. After the two tornadoes clashed violently, the blonde guy's offensive was completely suppressed. Everyone was blown to the ground, groaning in pain, looking at companion's miserable state, the leader guy's heart full of reluctance and anger. The delinquent struggled to stand up, urging him to decide quickly, otherwise they'll all be wiped out. The leader guy gritted his teeth hard, determined to fight with all his might to protect everyone. The Gyaru, besides seeing this, excitedly praised the leader guy, saying she can't continue swallowing her anger either. Even the usually cautious discipline committee helplessly stated now there's no other choice. The saintess sneered, watching them reach consensus. Magic power around her body began surging violently, preparing to give them a final lesson. And all of this was completely witnessed by me and the Ice Queen hiding in tree shadows not far away. The Ice Queen turned her head, giving me an inquiring look, asking when we're going on. I calmly analyzed the field situation, told the Ice Queen we need to wait for the best timing before appearing, and before that, just choose to trust our companions. At this time, the old knight stepped forward, respectfully bowing to the saintess, requesting orders, admitting he's willing to be the vanguard, contributing his humble strength to the saintess. The saintess lightly nodded, holy healing light flowing from her palm. Gentle radiance enveloped the old knight. All the wounds on his body rapidly healed in this sacred soft light. The blonde guy, watching the old knight instantly recover, clenched his fists in frustration, heart full of unwillingness. Feeling all previous efforts became wasted, the Gyaru wasn't willing to admit defeat, tone firm, saying we have more people, the outcome is still uncertain. The saintess, hearing this, lips curving into a faint smile, saying feel free to attack any time. This is the trial heroes should pass. The leader guy no longer hesitated, gripping his long sword, with determination to fight to the end, pointing directly at the saintess. The old knight immediately drew his sword to meet him. The instant blades clashed, a loud clang. The sword body actually shattered directly. The old knight retreated in shock, thinking silently inside can't clash head on, otherwise the one suffering will only be himself. The saintess chanted softly. Several ice spears condensed out of thin air, piercing fiercely toward the leader guy. The Gyaru immediately ignited blazing flames, stepping forward to counter. Ice and fire violently intertwined, sizzling sounds endless. The saintess smiled, saying the good show is yet to come. In the chaos, the leader guy's body was inadvertently cut by ice spears, instantly blooming with deep bloody wounds. The blonde guy, seeing the leader guy injured, cried out, reminding him to be careful. The discipline committee, seeing this, immediately activated telekinesis, floating up boulders. The blonde guy simultaneously controlled wind blades to enhance. The two coordinated seamlessly, together launching fierce attacks at the saintess. But these offensives just approaching the saintess, all dejectedly fell to the ground, unable to cause half a bit of damage. The discipline committee and blonde already failed. The saintess stood proudly under the bright moonlight, stating with certainty that using blessings I bestowed to attack me is ultimately futile. Seeing this scene, I, hiding in distant tree shadows, quietly activated appraisal to explore explore the truth. The Saintess not only possesses S-rank powerful magic, but also has multiple heaven-defying skills, among which Sacred Blessing is practically absolute defense. Only pure physical attacks might possibly break the deadlock. On the other side of the battlefield, after the leader guy got injured, the delinquent immediately stepped up. He blocked the old knight in front of him, roaring, "Leave him to me, I'll definitely finish him off. Let the leader guy focus on dealing with the Saintess." The leader guy nodded in understanding, thinking since magic blessings don't work, using a sword can definitely hurt the Saintess. And companions beside already noticed the leader guy's sword showed damage in the fight, immediately threw their own sword to the leader guy. The instant the leader guy gripped the new sword hilt, his eyes suddenly became sharp. The Saintess smiled, saying, "Finally waiting for you to get serious." The leader guy answered, "Because someone enlightened me. Let me see the truth and mission clearly." The leader guy's long sword breaking through wind stabbed straight at the Saintess's heart. The Saintess lightly jumped to evade. The two figures crossed and flew, offense and defense clashing with sharp edges. At the same time, the Gyaru and Blonde at the battlefield edge could only watch the deadlocked battle. Relying on magic blessings, they can't intervene at all, and the discipline committee's gaze always fell on the delinquent and old knight's entanglement. Those two already fought with bloodshot eyes, offensives increasingly fierce. Blood splattered between fists and feet. The two fought with all their might, neither giving in. After a bitter battle, the old knight's stamina ran out, was knocked to the ground by the delinquent, unable to rise again. The delinquent gasped heavily, looking down at the fallen old knight, realized healing blessing can repair injuries but can't replenish consumed stamina. Back to the Saintess and leader's battlefield. The Saintess already struck, scorching firewall instantly locked down the leader guy. As flames burned his body, the leader guy gripped his sword hilt, thinking quickly, if he can't approach the Saintess, will only waste his own life and magic in vain. To break the situation, he's willing to bet everything. The Saintess looked at him, tone rarely approving, saying few hero candidates can dodge her continuous spells. The leader guy didn't bother with her, just thinking inside how to break the situation. The Ice Queen and others can't intervene in the core duel, and long range he can't match the Saintess either. Right now the only way out is to close in faster, finding the Saintess's opening. When he made up his mind, gathering all his body's strength, preparing to launch an all-out sprint, the Saintess with keen perception instantly sensed it, immediately chanted spells, quickly wanting to summon a wind barrier, trying to block his charge, but before the barrier fully formed, saw the leader guy's figure shooting out like an arrow, speed far exceeding her prediction. The Saintess couldn't adjust wind magic in time, immediately pressed her hand to the earth, quickly summoning a deep pitfall. The leader guy on his charging path fell straight into the pitfall. The Saintess's flame skill followed right after, completely sealing all the leader guy's possible escape routes. The offensive connected without any flaws, giving the leader guy no breathing room. The Gyaru and Blonde, witnessing the leader guy fall into desperate straits, nervously cried out. The Saintess, watching the leader guy fallen in the pitfall, spell chanting rhythm more and more steady, continuing to firmly control battlefield initiative. On the other battlefield, the delinquent and old knight haven't decided the outcome yet. The delinquent's explosion blessing was already exhausted in the fight, can't use strong attacks anymore. The old knight, seeing this, raised his long sword, precisely slashing and stabbing, viciously wounding the delinquent. The delinquent absolutely can't accept losing to an old geezer. The next second, the old knight placed his sword on the delinquent's right shoulder, coldly telling him without blessing he's ultimately just an amateur. The delinquent suddenly remembered he once dominated with a pair of iron fists. He looked up, roaring, declaring even without blessing he's still strong. Before his words finished, the delinquent forcefully used his shoulder to bear the old knight's stabbing blade. The old knight's face full of shock, didn't expect he could still stand up. The delinquent let the sharp blade cut through skin and flesh, blood flowing, under the old knight's shocked gaze, then gripped his blood-covered fist, gathering last bit of strength, viciously smashing toward the opponent. The old knight, caught off guard, was hit hard by this crazy strike, flew straight out. The old knight vomited blood foam, dying on the spot. The delinquent whispered softly he won, voice weak but couldn't hide the undeniable pride. Then, because stamina exhausted, completely collapsed to the ground, losing consciousness. The leader guy in flames detected companions' movement, faces continuously flashing through his mind. The belief to protect everyone at this moment became power breaking through limits. The Saintess felt the leader guy's sudden explosive energy, truly admired his willpower far exceeds ordinary people. The leader guy's gaze resolute, but the Saintess confidently believes the leader guy can't get close to her. However, the long sword in the leader guy's hand, carrying fierce wind, actually in an instant came before her, precisely cutting the Saintess's holy arm. Fresh red blood slowly dripped along the Saintess's white robe, looking especially glaring under moonlight. The Saintess looked down at the wound on her arm, face full of disbelief. Really can't figure out how she could be breached by a hero candidate. And the leader guy didn't give the Saintess much reaction time. His figure already like a ghost circled behind her. The Saintess hurriedly mobilized magic power, summoning ice walls wanting to block him. The leader guy launched charge again, always maintaining close combat advantage. In consecutive exchanges, the Saintess finally saw through his reliance, tone carrying some understanding, saying, "This is the power of ground traversal blessing." Didn't expect besides herself. The gods indeed also favor hero candidates like the leader guy. The leader guy tightly gripped his sword hilt, activating ground traversal skill again, just as the sword tip in the leader guy's hand was about to stab the Saintess's throat. The Saintess's eyes suddenly flashed with dazzling golden light. Immediately after, softly uttered the word submit. Subjugation magic's power instantly spread. The leader guy froze on the spot. Looking at the immobilized leader, the Saintess sighed softly, saying she originally didn't want to use this move, really had no choice. And in distant tree shadows, I watching the battlefield situation, lips lips curving into a knowing smile, turned to the Ice Queen beside softly saying, "The timing's right, it's our turn to appear." The Saintess still stared at the leader guy, fundamentally didn't notice me and the Ice Queen approaching. She said softly didn't expect to be forced to this extent, admitting the leader guy is truly formidable. The leader guy was suppressed deadly by subjugation magic, gritting his teeth struggling but couldn't move. The Gyaru and quiet girl seeing this got anxious, taking off running toward him. The Saintess felt the commotion behind, coldly uttered the command "don't move," instantly suppressing all signs of wanting to resist. Everyone unwilling to submit like this, but bodies completely not under their own control. Despair spread in everyone's hearts. The Saintess swept her eyes over the controlled crowd, calmly saying everyone performed well. The trial exceeded expectations. The old knight losing was quite unexpected, but knights can be replaced any time. As long as she's here, can always control hero candidates, make them loyal subordinates. The blonde guy hearing her words, couldn't help doubting whether their resistance is futile. The leader guy shouted wildly inside, he knows clearly if he can't break this strange subjugation magic, can never kill her. The Saintess like seeing through their thoughts, slowly revealing the truth hidden for so long. She can summon hero candidates precisely because she has power to suppress all resistance. Otherwise, a group with special abilities would be too dangerous for the country. Just as the Saintess's words fell, 3 sharp throwing knives suddenly broke through air, directly threatening her vital points. The Saintess reacted super fast, immediately chanting earth. Thick earth walls rose in response, steadily blocking this sudden ambush. Then the Saintess's sharp gaze quickly swept toward the darkness, with keen perception definitely calling out my name. I slowly walked out, saying indifferently, "Thought you wouldn't notice me, this mediocre person." The Saintess sneered in response, saying, "From the start felt you were wrong. No decent blessing yet, calm every crisis. This abnormality made me suspicious long ago." She admitted quite disappointed. "Originally thought you'd never show yourself without winning odds. Seems I overestimated your caution." I looked straight into her eyes, firmly responding, "Whether there's winning odds is my decision, not for others to say." The Saintess hearing this raised an eyebrow, signaling me to show sufficient strength to prove my arrogance, then activated subjugation magic again, issuing the command "don't move" at me. Subjugation magic's energy rapidly spread through my body, trying to bind my actions and will, and I didn't panic. Also wasn't afraid. The Saintess loudly proclaimed all of us can only be manipulated by her, no one can break free from God-given power. Before her words finished, I suddenly broke free from the magic's restraints, raised the gun and pulled the trigger. Movements clean and efficient, bullet directly hit the Saintess. The Saintess's eyes widened in shock, completely didn't expect someone could break free from subjugation magic's control, never seen this kind of strange weapon either. I praised her worthy of being the Saintess, avoiding vital points in such short time with keen senses. She covered her shoulder hissing, completely not knowing why I could hurt her. I pulled the trigger again, bullet precisely hitting her abdomen, making her instantly lose balance. Looking at the fallen Saintess, I said softly, "This is in our world the most common, most basic attack method." The Saintess endured the severe pain in her abdomen, eyes full of unwillingness and madness, chanting with difficulty flames. In the roar of burn to ashes, blazing flames shot skyward, wanting to completely devour me. The Saintess sneered, "I'm ultimately still careless and underestimated the enemy." Then she bet all her magic power, only seeking to turn me into ashes. However, after the flames scattered, only a scorched cloak remained in place. No human figure, and I already relied on swift body techniques appearing behind her, gun barrel tightly pressed against the back of her head. I declared her defeat is set, no longer any chance to turn the tables. The Saintess completely collapsed, frantically shrieking why. Hearing this, past memories surged into my mind like tidal waves. That night I specially found the Ice Queen. Had her try using control blessing to reproduce effects similar to subjugation magic, wanting to verify a hypothesis. The Ice Queen at the time, her cheeks instantly flushed red, somewhat shyly saying she doesn't have this kind of interest, because controlling others' behavior makes her uncomfortable. I patiently explained to her ancient laws recorded in literature, explaining enslavement-type abilities have one key characteristic, that is, they'll prioritize obeying the first caster's commands. Subsequent same-type magic is very hard to override this priority. The Ice Queen, after hearing my explanations, suddenly understood, finally grasped my true intention, but still worried, saying her control blessing is only level 1. Afraid it can't match the Saintess's level 3 subjugation magic. Worried this plan will completely fail, I immediately interrupted her concerns, reminding her to recall the failed enslavement magic when fighting the chatty glasses guy. At that time, everyone thought higher level commands overrode his magic. But looking back now, understand that was precisely the first caster priority law at work. So this method will definitely work. The Ice Queen agreed with my idea, immediately agreeing to use control blessing to lay groundwork in advance. Thoughts returning to reality, the Saintess finally figured it out, shrieking the Ice Queen's name. My lips curved into a cold smile, stating bluntly, "I'm currently under the influence of the Ice Queen's control blessing." The Saintess furiously scolded me for playing tricks, tone full of unwillingness and resentment. I didn't give her more chance to speak, pulling the trigger without hesitation, clearly saying, "Saintess Eleonora, your show ends here. The saintess completely slumped onto the cold ground, face pale as paper, breath also becoming increasingly weak. She looked down with difficulty, shocked, staring at handcuffs that suddenly appeared on her wrists. Completely didn't expect this thing actually possesses powerful effects of sealing magic power. I stood before her, expression calm, telling her these handcuffs are war trophies from the Demon King's cult. She struggled, wanting to stand but was powerless, urgently pressing what exactly I want to do. I told her she must immediately find a way to send us back to the original world. The saintess's face showed apology, admitting she only has the ability to summon hero candidates. Cross-world return requires other complex technology. She alone can't do it. I immediately activated appraisal, scanning her attribute panel. Skill column indeed has no return-related magic, proving she's not lying. I then pressed her about the return she originally promised, wanting to find some breakthrough from her. She patiently said summoning us consumed massive magic power. The entire process was handled by the gods. We came to this world following divine will. According to agreement, subjugating the Demon King allows return. She confessed previous generations of hero candidates. No one successfully subjugated the Demon King. Most died at the Demon King's hands. A few disappeared without news. I finally understand why she concealed this cruel truth, afraid this news would crush our fighting spirit. The saintess, seeing me silent, immediately said the Demon King's army will invade this country sooner or later. At that time, everyone will ultimately still have to face this unavoidable war. I muttered in a low voice, still no choice. The saintess immediately nodded, eyes flashing with a trace of hope. She hurriedly promised if I'm willing to stop and spare her, she can act like nothing happened before, still acknowledge our hero candidate status. I don't believe her nonsense, directly pulled out the throwing knife I carried, tone cold, saying go die. The leader guy, seeing this, urgently stepped forward, urgently stopping my action. He glared at me angrily, explaining his reason for choosing to help this saintess. Now can't return to the previous world. We must maintain hero candidate status to survive, fighting for better survival conditions for the whole class. I coldly reminded him we're already rebels and traitors. Wanting to return to the previous state is already impossible. The saintess quickly interrupted me, urgently stating she definitely will do what she just promised. I pondered for a moment, admitting the leader guy's considerations do have merit, but I quickly shook my head. Absolutely can't leave future troubles, otherwise she'll retaliate against the Ice Queen first. The leader guy hasn't given up, advising me killing the saintess makes it hard to stand firm. Escaping will be extremely difficult. Releasing her is better. The discipline committee on the side agreed, saying the class still has many non-combat personnel. Becoming wanted criminals makes life difficult. The Gyaru hesitated for a long time, supporting the leader guy's negotiation, thinking this is currently most stable. The blonde guy insisted on cutting the grass and pulling roots, afraid letting the tiger return to mountains will cause bigger trouble. The leader guy looked at disagreeing opinions, sighing helplessly. He must be responsible for everyone, can't impulsively ruin the entire class's future. I looked at the leader guy's heavy expression, understanding he bears the class's expectations and safety, but things have reached this point. I no longer have room to hesitate, must completely resolve the hidden danger. So I raised the gun, pulled the trigger. The bullet flew straight toward the saintess, hitting right between her eyebrows. The leader guy, shocked, called out my name, face full of disbelief. The instant the saintess fell, surrounding crowd fell into chaotic commotion. Some shocked, some angry, some at a loss. A smoke bomb suddenly bloomed in the night. Dense smoke quickly enveloped the entire battlefield, blocking everyone's vision. I told everyone farewell, then turned to leave. The smoke gradually dispersed, my figure long gone from the spot. The leader guy powerlessly knelt, roaring, heart full of despair and anger. The discipline committee, furious, scolded my behavior as unforgivable, believing I completely destroyed the class's future. The Gyaru helplessly shook her head, saying softly, I've always been my own way, never considering others' feelings and situations. The blonde guy stood to the side, eyes grave, guessing I had premeditated plans from the start. And the Ice Queen stood alone in place, looking toward where I disappeared, sighing softly. Everything as he predicted, without the slightest accident. Just now in the forest, I completely revealed the plan to the Ice Queen, clearly stating if control blessing can't suppress the saintess, we'll directly kill her. If ultimately can't find a return method, I'll escape alone. And I've already planted scapegoat, foreshadowing, won't implicate others. I looked at the Ice Queen's serious eyes, solemnly entrusting the next part relies on her ability, using control blessing to stabilize class situation, protect other classmates well. The Ice Queen, after hearing her face, showed faint hesitation. I, seeing this, softly comforted, telling her to relax. But she's still worried about my safety, escaping alone, afraid I'll encounter misfortune. I confidently smiled, saying I can take care of myself, no need for her to worry. When the Ice Queen looked at classmates again, secretly vowed inside definitely won't let my efforts go to waste. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During this time, my footsteps never stopped. Hungry, picked wild fruits, thirsty, drank stream water. Estimating the distance should be close to the next town, I climbed the steep slope ahead to scout the route. In the distance, scattered rooftops already clearly entered view. Based on visual distance, walking half a day more can smoothly reach the destination. Arriving at the town, the sky already darkened. But this situation is actually better. After all, I bear the crime of killing the saintess. Fundamentally impossible to enter the town's main gate openly. Keeping low profile and stealth is the best strategy. After reaching the town's edge, I took out rope already prepared, threw it up the city wall, firmly securing it. Then, using the rope's pulling force, nimbly like a night cat, silently climbed up the tall city wall. On the city wall, occasionally patrolling soldiers passed by. I held my breath and waited quietly until they were far away before continuing my actions. After entering the city, I weighed the travel funds in my hand. The first thing needing to solve is the rumbling stomach problem. Just then, noisy voices came from ahead. A brightly lit tavern clearly entered view. This is the perfect place to fill the stomach and gather intelligence. Inside the tavern, it's noisy and clamorous, everyone talking and laughing. I naturally sat down, ordered an ale beer and a simple meal from the owner. The neighbor, seeing me alone and dusty from travel, curiously struck up conversation, asking my background, eyes carrying friendly inquiry. I thought briefly, saying I'm a fleeing traveler, hometown suffered changes so I'm wandering everywhere. Hearing fleeing, the neighbor immediately thought of the troublemaking Demon King's army, angrily cursing demons, heartless harming innocent civilians. This beautiful misunderstanding saved me lots of explanation trouble. Taking advantage of chatting, I casually asked if there's temporary work not requiring ID proof, wanting to earn living expenses. The tavern owner beside, carrying a wine glass, walked over, just happened to hear our chat, smiling and chiming in, suggesting why not become an adventurer. The neighbor, hearing this, urgently reminded me, adventuring is super dangerous, constantly fighting monsters, careless will lose life. But the owner smiled, shaking his head, saying already saw I'm not an ordinary person, definitely an insider. I looked at the two of them, steadily responding dealing with ordinary monsters is indeed no problem. Then carefully inquired the owner about specific methods and procedures for becoming an adventurer. The owner patiently guided me, informing the city center has a specialized adventurer guild, always short on people there, and won't strictly verify identity. Very suitable for my situation. He also sighed. He was once also an adventurer, later because of knee injury retired, then turned to run this tavern, words carrying nostalgia for the past. Just as we conversed, steaming hot food was ready. Rich aroma instantly aroused my long-lost appetite. I said no more, lowered my head and ate heartily. Next morning, I yawned getting out of bed. After dressing, I went downstairs greeting the owner. The owner, seeing my face, showed no abnormality, neither revealing vigilant look nor extra questioning. This let me secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Looks like the Holy Nation's wanted poster is indeed vague and unclear. I don't need to be overly cautious, just need to pay slight attention to avoid exposure. Following the tavern owner's guidance, I quickly found that imposing adventurer guild building. I directly stepped forward, pushing open that heavy door. Inside, voices buzz, extremely lively. I didn't linger much, walked straight toward the registration counter on one side of the hall, stating my wish to apply to become an adventurer. The staff member expressionlessly informed me need to pay silver coins as processing fee. This is guild regulations. I handed over the required coins from my pocket. The staff member needs to register information, and I can't use my real name, so reported the code name I used in my assassin days, Kieran. The staff member didn't inquire much, quickly completed registration according to information I provided, then stamped the guild seal, officially completing registration procedures. She also explained in detail the adventurer rank system to me, from highest A rank to lowest F rank, having strict grading standards. Different ranks can take on tasks of varying difficulty. As a newly joined newcomer, I naturally can only start from the lowest F rank tasks. Slowly accumulating experience and reputation can gradually raise rank. After completing registration, I walked to the guild hall's bulletin board, carefully checking the posted task list. And F rank tasks are mostly simple tasks like collecting herbs, subjugating low-level monsters. I looked at the three words kobold, thinking never seen this kind of monster before, took down the task sheet. But subjugation type tasks exactly suit my taste, can earn commission through combat, also can use this to train my own combat ability, and can collect various intelligence during task execution, killing several birds with one stone. Just as I focused on checking the task list, three men dressed in adventurer equipment suddenly approached me directly. The leading one-eyed man sized up my unfamiliar face, eyes carrying some contempt and provocation. I felt unhappy inside, eyebrows slightly furrowed, thinking why suddenly idiots came to provoke. Looks like no matter which world, which place, there's no shortage of guys who like bullying newbies. Truly annoying. Facing three adventurers suddenly blocking the way, I told them flatly to move aside, also said their advice I appreciate, don't pester anymore. The one-eyed man obviously didn't expect I'd be so cold. Contempt on his face turned to anger, cursing, saying I'm too arrogant, don't put senior adventurers in my eyes. Surrounding onlooking adventurers seeing this all quietly discussed, the one-eyed man was disgust without face flushed red. He rolled up sleeves wanting to fight, saying to teach me how to behave in the guild, make me understand rules. I slightly shifted my body and avoided it. Also precisely grasped his wrist with backhand, force so great he can't break free. The one-eyed man's arrogance on his face instantly turned to shock, struggling, telling me to let go. But I didn't move an inch, fingers even slowly adding force, not the slightest intention to let go. He hurt so much, gritting teeth, forehead breaking cold sweat. I just held him quietly like this. The one-eyed man got anxious, shouted at the two companions behind for help. Those two companions immediately rushed up, one swung fist at my face, the other attacked my waist side, wanting to pincer from front and back. I calmly dodged the first person's fist to the side, taking advantage, kicked him to the ground. Immediately after, raised hand blocking the second person's attack, in just a few seconds knocked them all to the ground. I didn't say another word, turned to leave amid everyone's complex discussions. Thinking inside, is this the average level of adventurers in this world? Strength doesn't even compare to a fraction of previous hero candidates. But I quickly put this matter behind, attention turning back to the task of subjugating kobolds. Following the guild's described location, I set out, walking to the approximate area. I carefully looked at the ground, quickly discovered a string of fresh kobold footprints. Traces clear, not blown away by wind, obviously left not long ago. I followed the footprints, finding a small small path hidden in bushes. As soon as I entered, I detected Lurker's aura, fishy smell different from humans. I just muttered inside, could it be kobolds? A tall black shadow appeared behind me. He held a rusty blade in his hand, slashing straight at me. I nimbly dodged all attacks but felt puzzled inside. These kobolds' weapons look more like styles humans use, should be snatched from humans. The kobolds, seeing the first round of attacks, all missed, not retreating at all, howling and pouncing, numbers even more than before. I quickly bent down, grabbing a handful of dirt, throwing it out when they closed in. Happened to hit the frontmost kobold's eyes, making it instantly unable to see. In its painful cries, more kobolds surged out from hiding. I no longer held back, using fists and feet, every strike hitting vital points, knocking down charging kobolds, not giving counterattack opportunities, then pulled out short blade, neatly solving monsters still struggling. For kobolds scared and fleeing, I threw several more throwing knives, making them die on the spot. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding kobolds all lost breath. I activated appraisal to check their attributes. Screen displayed race as kobold, only level 1 stealth skill, strength extremely weak. To earn more reward, I didn't immediately leave. Search stronghold, resolving remaining kobolds deep in the nest. After confirming no omissions, took collected kobold ears back to the guild. I placed the pile of ears in front of the registration counter as proof of subjugation task completion. The staff member looking at the mountain of ears on the desk, shocked and somewhat stuttering, repeatedly confirming these were all subjugated by me alone, face full of disbelief. I lightly nodded, admitting, also said lightly, defeating these kobolds is actually very simple. Just their stealth skill makes finding targets not easy. Spend some time. Surrounding adventurers seeing this all curiously gathered around. In everyone's exclamations, the staff member quickly calculated accounts, handed me the corresponding silver coin reward. At night, on my way home, gripping the heavy silver coins, secretly calculating. Temporarily use this town as base, take adventurer tasks to earn money for living, while using the guild platform to establish some connections, then slowly inquire about intelligence, including the Demon King's army's real situation, and methods to return to the original world. Just as I was thinking, suddenly detected a strong person's aura approaching from behind. The opponent's energy fluctuation obviously stronger than other adventurers in the guild. I immediately turned around, saw a tall, burly man smiling walking toward me, step steady revealing strong person aura. I secretly quickly assessed his strength, judging far exceeds the previous one-eyed man and others, so I spoke first, asking his intention. The big burly man laughed heartily, actively introducing himself, calling himself a B-rank adventurer, also responsible for maintaining guild order. Finding me is precisely to hold me accountable. The big guy said his 3 underlings were previously taken care of by me. I answered they provoked first, I only fought back in self-defense, didn't intentionally cause trouble. The big guy was obviously deceived by those 3 underlings' lies, excitedly rebutting, not listening to my explanation. Seeing this, I sighed helplessly, knowing no amount of arguing now would change his preconceived notions. The big guy, seeing me stop talking, took it as admission, anger instantly blazing. He said to properly teach me this arrogant newbie a lesson. Before his words finished, fist-carrying whistling wind struck at my face. I was already prepared, body slightly shifted to the side, easily avoiding his powerful heavy fist. His first move missing didn't discourage him, continued punching. However, not one hit me. The big guy changed his attack, a spinning fierce kick, offensive, extremely swift, but I'd already predicted his movement, extending my foot to trip him in advance. The big guy's center of gravity instantly lost balance, crying out in alarm, falling to the side, his face written full of disbelief, saying his attacks so fierce, how were they easily resolved? I complained his moves too flashy, movements too large, resulting in openings everywhere. Dealing with this kind of attack isn't difficult at all. The big guy scrambled up awkwardly, anger in his heart more intense, launched attack at me again, offensive, more hasty than before. I wasn't flustered, precisely grasped his swinging arm with backhand, slightly exerted force twisting, made him unable to move. I silently analyzed, must be he's used to fighting monsters usually, excels at direct confrontation, but not skilled at dealing with humans' flexible combat techniques, that's why he's easily restrained by me. The big guy gasped heavily, face full of unwillingness, yet still stubbornly questioned why I actively trouble his underlings. I, seeing his emotions slightly calmed, suggested finding a place to explain the ins and outs in detail, completely resolve the misunderstanding. The two walked into a nearby tavern together. I then explained the matter's course in detail to him. The big guy, after hearing my account, immediately realized he wrongly believed lies, quickly apologized to me, admitting fault. To show apology, he immediately sent people to call the 3 underlings to the tavern. In front of me, harshly taught them a lesson, scolding they shouldn't lie and cause trouble. The 3 underlings scolded, not daring to raise heads, awkwardly kneeling on ground, repeatedly admitting fault. The big guy turned, pointing at me, reminding them the one who truly deserves apology is me, telling them to properly reflect. The 3 underlings immediately turned toward me, respectfully apologizing, hoping I can forgive their previous rudeness. I waved my hand, saying misunderstanding resolved is good, then tone shifted, saying I have matters want to consult them about. The big guy, to make up for previous impropriety, readily promised as long as he knows, will definitely tell all. I, looking at his sincere attitude, candidly said becoming an adventurer has other more important purposes. He wasn't surprised at this, smiling, signaling me to speak out freely, no need to have concerns. I drank drank a sip of beer, spoke out I've been searching for methods to go to other worlds, hoping to get useful clues from them. The big guy and his 3 underlings hearing this, instantly stunned. The 3 underlings subconsciously whispered among themselves. I told the big guy to think carefully. Any thoughts can be spoken to chat. The big guy lowered head pondering for a moment, said perhaps the sage can answer this question, but he's also not certain whether the other party truly has methods. I tried hard searching sage-related information in my mind. He, seeing my confusion, explained in detail the sage is an elf advisor, knowledge very extensive, also has certain fame in human society. I pondered silently. Elves always seclude themselves in deep forests, rarely contact humans. This sage rarely appearing in human society is indeed quite special. I recalled some ancient materials I'd read before, which mentioned legends of elf sages, just uncertain whether truly exists. The big guy continued supplementing. This sage has lived over 100 years, also a powerful mage, perhaps truly holds cross-world secrets. Hearing this, my heart instantly ignited with hope. Perhaps truly can rely on magic's power to return to the original world. The one-eyed underling beside couldn't help questioning whether the sage is still alive. The big guy smiled, admitting this point he's also unclear. After all, he also heard it from grandpa's mouth. No one has seen her traces. I quickly stated this intelligence is already precious enough for me. Sincerely thank him for generous help. Got up preparing to return to the inn to rest. The big guy suddenly called out to me, curiously asking why I'm going to other worlds. I smiled faintly, didn't explain much, just said let them imagine freely, then turned to leave the tavern. In the next week's time, I took various suitable tasks at the Adventurer Guild, while saving enough funds needed for travel, while inquiring about the sage's news. This day I received the last payment. When leaving, ran into the big guy and his underlings. They, as always, extended invitations to play together. I, as always, refused them. Since we're strangers who met by chance, no need for deep friendship. I've already inquired the sage's secluded place is in the area where humans and Demon King's army battle, environment extremely dangerous. But to find the return method, it's time to set out seeking the sage. At the same time, in the Temple City Alpha's conference room, the leader guy and discipline committee were meeting Night Order people. The long-haired male captain in gorgeous night uniform gently inquired whether life this past month has been satisfactory. The leader guy spoke first, responding, saying everything's very good, also sincerely thanking his thoughtful arrangements. The long-haired male captain hearing such feedback was very happy, emphasizing hero candidates are the nation's precious combat power, so hopes to care for everyone meticulously. The discipline committee quickly followed thanking, but secretly suspected inside, feeling this long-haired male captain's excessive attentiveness instead makes hearts uneasy. The long-haired male captain's tone shifted, quickly turning to business, announcing yesterday's meeting decision, having hero candidates go to the western border, stationed at the frontmost fortress. The leader guy's expression calm, responding, saying already knew this day would eventually come. The long-haired male captain took out a map, explaining hero candidates all need to go to the front lines to fight. The leader guy then hesitantly mentioned non-combat personnel on the team, hoping they can receive proper shelter. The long-haired male captain cutely blinked, saying already arranged, also solemnly promised will properly care for non-combat personnel. The leader guy gratefully thanked. The other party's tone shifted, supplementing, though we'll provide shelter, everyone still needs to work. The long-haired male captain jokingly explained, after all, the nation isn't rich enough to let people eat and drink for free. The leader guy expressed complete understanding, thinking of female classmates last time forced by the saintess to kill, saying having work to do everyone's mood will actually be more relaxed. The discipline committee immediately inquired about specific departure time. The long-haired male captain spoke, saying tomorrow morning depart. After the two left the conference room, the discipline committee sighed, this request surprisingly smoothly approved, considered an unexpected joy, but the leader guy's face full of unease, feeling the long-haired male captain too easy to talk to. The discipline committee calmly analyzed current situation, believing after the saintess's death the other party lost absolute control confidence over hero candidates, so actively lowered stance to win everyone over. After speaking, she suddenly sighed, not knowing where the person who killed the saintess currently is, whether he's safe. The leader guy fell into silence, past memories uncontrollably surged up. In memory they just returned to the kingdom, were immediately surrounded by nobles and church people. The scene in chaos. The bishop emotionally pressed who exactly poisoned her. The Gyaru immediately stood out, accusing it's Shinjou, saying the culprit is also a hero candidate. Everyone hearing this exclaimed, faces full of disbelief. The bishop inquired where I am. The Gyaru sneered, saying already escaped. Someone proposed immediately organizing search teams, pursuing the fugitive with all strength. But the bishop suddenly questioned the Gyaru's statement too convenient, inevitably arousing suspicion. The school bully instantly furious, angrily questioning what he means. The bishop unhurriedly explained, saying possibly hero candidates conspired together, deliberately let the real culprit escape. A soldier urgently stood out, saying he witnessed the scene firsthand. At that time, other hero candidates were all trying to protect the saintess, fundamentally impossible to be accomplices. The soldiers present also echoed from start to finish it was Shinjou acting alone. The bishop finally chose to believe their statement, but still couldn't help asking if Shinjou is really that strong, actually able to kill the saintess. The leader guy responded, saying he's indeed very strong. The bishop then led everyone into the inner hall, and the leader guy secretly noticed the Ice Queen quietly activated control blessing, timely stabilized the scene's emotions. He turned looking at the Ice queen quietly saying thanks. Memory ended. The discipline committee, seeing the leader guy continuously silent, softly inquired if he's still bothered by that matter, also comforted saying no need to worry too much about that traitor. The leader guy reluctantly responded saying also right, but heart full of deep guilt. He knows clearly it was his own decision back then that forced Shinjou to act. In the end also made him solely bear all blame, and he himself had no better way to protect all classmates. Returning to the dorm, the leader guy gathered all classmates, solemnly announced news about going to the front lines, requiring all combat personnel make full preparation. Some classmate candidly stated very scared to face war. The Gyaru immediately rebutted, saying feeling scared now is already too late. Things reach this point can only face bravely. The quiet girl's face full of worry asked whether they must go to front lines alone to fight. The leader guy explained, saying won't act alone, they'll be assigned to the 8th Night Squad, fighting alongside regular knights. The Ice Queen softly inquired the leader guy about Shinjou's latest news. The leader guy shook his head, stating although already issued high bounty, still no clues yet. The Ice Queen hearing this lowered head silent, but the Gyaru on the side said once that traitor is found should burn him to death. The Ice Queen's heart felt desolate, silently thinking Shinjou alone bears too much, but she can't say anything. The next day, the team slowly advanced along the border. The school bully always expressionless, walking at the very front, whole body emanating powerful aura, keeping strangers away. Short-haired girl suddenly stopped, frowning, complaining a bit tired, wanting to rest. The discipline committee quickly walked over, reminding everyone just had lunch break. According to schedule, must wait until dark to camp. The yes man immediately followed, complaining, the follower exaggeratedly saying that his legs were almost giving out from walking so much. The school bully suddenly raised hand, saying in deep voice, don't make noise. The yes man's face full of confusion, looking at the school bully, carefully asking what happened. The school bully's sharp eyes locked tightly on roadside bushes, based on instinct asserting monsters hiding inside. A soldier angrily rushed from rear formation, scolding, questioning why hero candidates stopped without permission, destroying established marching order. The leader guy quickly stepped forward, politely explaining, saying the delinquent detected monster aura, hoping the soldier can treat cautiously. The soldier looked around, finding no abnormalities, dissatisfied, saying marching orders should be issued by regular army, accusing hero candidates too rashly acting. The school bully glared at this soldier, suddenly reached out, grabbing the other party's collar, lifted him up. The leader guy urgently stepped forward, pulling the delinquent, advising him to stop. The delinquent snorted coldly, disdainfully saying this kind of small soldier also qualifies to order him, then fiercely let go, making the soldier heavily fall to ground. Just as everyone was in standoff, bushes suddenly burst out a group of magic creatures, claw rabbits. Their sharp claws flashed with cold light, fiercely pouncing at the formation. The soldier, seeing this, immediately cried out in alarm, immediately loudly ordering all personnel prepare for battle. Claw rabbit's body movements astonishingly fast, in blink of eye pounced into the crowd, grappling with soldiers. In a few moves injured several people, also knocked their weapons flying, sent them far away. A claw rabbit fiercely approached a fallen soldier, claws raised high. That soldier's scared face went pale, whole body trembling. The school bully at this moment without hesitation activated explosion skill, taking advantage kicked away the claw rabbit in front of the soldier, then jumped down from horse, viciously stepping on its fallen body. The claw rabbit's shrill scream shocked the entire field, making surrounding claw rabbits all stop their offensive. The soldier who just fell climbed up wanting to thank, but was harshly roared at by the delinquent to get lost, could only awkwardly lead other soldiers retreating to the side, accompanied by a loud shout, watch this. The delinquent directly charged into enemy group, explosive fist wind whistled past, sweeping remaining monsters. The yes man on the side watched dumbfounded, couldn't help exclaiming the school bully so strong. The follower also followed, nodding, saying the delinquent's destructive power now better than before, but the delinquent's heart irritated, mouth saying this level of strength still far from enough, fundamentally can't win against that bastard. His mind involuntarily floated that night. The saintess fell to ground. Shinjou shooting the gun scene. From first meeting felt that guy was wrong, never put him in his eyes, also could casually suppress himself. Even though the delinquent obtained powerful explosion blessing, facing Shinjou still felt deep powerlessness. This huge gap made him especially fired up, fighting spirit also completely ignited. The leader guy noticed the delinquent's abnormality when fighting. After clearing monsters approached inquiring if he has something on his mind. The delinquent quickly concealed his true emotions, casually said just disgusted being commanded by an unknown small soldier, felt unhappy, that's all. Finally, the border fortress outline appeared in everyone's field of vision. The long-traveled team arrived at this destination. A female knight in silver armor walked out from the fortress gate, politely saying, hero candidates worked hard all the way. She actively introduced herself as the new commander of Western Frontline Forces. The long-haired male captain's face showed confusion, wanting to understand frontline temporary commander changes specific situation. The female captain's expression grave, explaining, the original captain already died on battlefield in a Demon King army raid a week ago. She arranged resting places for everyone, letting them first recover strength then discuss follow-up matters. At this time a sentry rushed into the fortress. The sentry's expression panicked, reporting to the female captain, Demon King's army already launched large-scale attack. Frontline defenses critical, urgently need support. The female captain turned, looking at the hero candidates behind, saying no time to rest. Now, frontline comrades need their power. The leader guy took a deep breath, turned facing companions behind, solemnly announced, prepare to meet enemy. The school bully's lips curved into a bloodthirsty smile, muttering in low voice, exactly what I want. Everyone walked out of the castle, sharp bell ringing entered ears. Next second saw pitch-black monsters surging like tidal waves, menacingly waving weapons in hands. The leader guy and classmates stood shoulder to shoulder on the city wall, anxiously looking at densely packed monsters below. The long-haired male captain decisively ordered to strike first, having archers quickly knock arrows. Fire mages immediately chant spells. Arrows wrapped in blazing flames like meteors rain down, viciously smashing toward charging monster groups. Monsters hit by flame arrows let out angry roars, yet not the slightest sign of retreat, still endlessly charging at city walls as if not knowing pain. The leader guy couldn't help shocked at their tenacity. The female captain's expression calm, explaining to everyone, this level of long-range attacks fundamentally can't kill demons. Their recovery and endurance both far exceed humans by too much. Hearing this, the leader guy's heart increasingly anxious, quickly inquiring the female captain about countermeasures. The female captain told everyone to follow the long-haired male captain's command, holding the city wall. She'll lead the 4th Night Squad charging down the city wall, facing monster groups head-on. The long-haired male captain's order not yet issued saw a red figure already taking the lead, rushing out from the city wall. The leader guy sighed, the delinquent's action too rash. Charging without strategy might fall into danger. And the Gyaru on the side supplemented, explaining, saying the delinquent long couldn't hold back battle impulse. The delinquent charging down the city wall, his whole body, red light surging, powerful explosion skill instantly erupted, viciously blowing away a large patch of monster groups ahead. Monsters were stunned by this sudden fierce attack. The delinquent looking at panicked monsters, face curving into a cold smile, his tone ice-cold, greeting them, eyes full of disdain and killing intent. Everyone closely followed the delinquent, faces without the slightest fear, instead showing excitement, murderously approaching remaining monsters. Monsters reacting later angrily cursed, stating these human idiots actively came delivering themselves to death, then launched attacks again. The delinquent roared, again fully activated explosion skill, declaring no matter if opponents are demons or what, today all must obediently be his punching bags. Just as the main battlefield deadlocked, some particularly agile monsters took advantage, bypassing defense lines, secretly breaking through city wall weak points. A monster raised sharp axe, slashing toward an unprepared soldier the instant. The leader guy without hesitation leapt up, long sword in hand, precisely piercing the monster's vital point. The soldier quickly thanked the leader guy, and after successfully saving someone, the leader guy's confidence greatly increased. Then activated sword extend exclusive skill. Sword instantly lengthened, attack range greatly expanded. The leader guy nimbly wielded the extended long sword. Everywhere he went, monsters' blood and flesh flew. The leader guy truly felt his daily growing power, heart increasingly firm in belief to protect companions. He turned facing classmates on the city wall, loudly encouraging everyone to fight. Classmates, encouraged by the leader guy, all activated their own exclusive blessings, fully investing in defending the city battle. The leader guy told himself inside, since he's everyone's leader, absolutely can't show the slightest hesitation, must always walk ahead of them, be the first person. The discipline committee fully activated telekinesis, controlling boulders attacking monster vanguard. The Gyaru immediately controlled blazing flames, sweeping toward dense monster groups. The Ice Queen precisely activated control blessing, steadily stopping monsters approaching companions. Under everyone's joint effort, quickly seized war's initiative. Defending soldiers watching hero candidates displayed powerful strength, all dumbfounded. This is the legendary hero candidate's true strength, indeed well-deserved reputation. The long-haired male captain, seeing this, immediately urgently ordered all soldiers follow hero candidate's rhythm, launching counterattack. Taking advantage to expand battle results, can't miss this excellent opportunity. Monsters began retreating step by step, battlefield soon littered with corpses. Intense battle finally concluded, exhausted everyone, gasping heavily. The female captain loudly announced battle victory news to the whole field. Defending soldiers instantly burst out earth-shattering cheers, celebrating this hard-won victory. Sunset's afterglow slowly reflected on the tragic battlefield. The leader guy looking at the scene before him, heart without joy, instead deeply touched by war's cruelty. The long-haired male captain walked to the leader guy's side, softly inquiring his first real combat thoughts. The leader guy honestly stated group battles much harder than imagined. Just now only focused on own fighting. Couldn't timely coordinate commanding everyone, causing some areas almost lost, heart full of self-blame. The long-haired male captain smiled, comforting he already did very well, while reminding him today encountered only low-tier demons, true high-tier demon strength far exceeds imagination, absolutely can't drop guard. The leader guy seriously nodded, in future will more carefully face each battle, continuously improving commandability. Late night, in distant demon territory. A monster trembling, reporting this attack mission failure news to Earth King. Many monsters surrounding bonfire discussing today's defeat. Earth King, after hearing his whole body's terrifying aura, made the entire hall fall into dead silence. He issued orders, must next time completely eliminate all all hero candidates, and when hero candidates were on front lines killing enemies, I was searching for the sage, confirming methods to return to the original world. While traveling, calculated journey. According to map guidance and previous speed calculation, should soon reach the sage's residence. Suddenly, sharp breaking wind sounds from all directions attacked me. Without warning, offensive, made me subconsciously dodged aside. A strong, fishy stench rushed at my face. Several slimy, slippery tongues brushed past my shoulder and ear. My heart secretly alarmed these attackers' speed so fast. Immediately after, a group of magic creatures covered in grayish-brown fur suddenly leapt out from bushes. Movements uniform, instantly surrounding me, blocking all escape routes. I immediately activated appraisal to check opponent information. Screen clearly displayed race as Chaos Long-Tongue Monkey, attack and agility both reaching B rank, skills also including tongue attack, level 3. I quickly put down luggage carried, fully alert, staring at the magic creatures before me. The lead Long-Tongue Monkey chief first struck, long tongue like a whip swiftly attacking. Carrying whistling wind sounds, I found opportunity to close in. Result, its long tongue fiercely swung, instantly repelling me. Other long-tongue monkeys seeing this all joined the siege, offensive increasingly dense. I understand close combat very difficult, so simply saw an opening, swung blade severing the chief monkey's tongue root. Shrill screams instantly echoed throughout the forest. The chief painfully rolled on ground. I sneered at remaining magic creatures saying come at me together, but they seemed not fond of group fights. Only one long-tongue monkey launched attack again. I nimbly dodged aside, blade edge in hand precisely slashing across its neck. Blood instantly gushed out. Remaining long-tongue monkeys scared by this sudden counterattack instantly froze. I seized this opportunity leaping up. Short blade in hand, cold light flashing repeatedly, moves clean and decisive. In blink of eye solved all remaining threats. I gasped, standing among magic creature corpses thinking, this stretch of road encountered increasingly strong monsters, should be myself increasingly approaching Demon King Army's territory. Shouldered luggage I continued setting out. In front of view a towering mountain range entered sight. I muttered that highest peak is the legendary Death Wolf Mountain. The sage's residence is there, but before climbing Death Wolf Mountain, I planned to rest a bit, so walked toward the small village at mountain foot, but unexpectedly discovered flames shooting skyward there. Obviously something happened. I quickened pace approaching the village, the scene before eyes a complete mess. Magic creatures rampaging wantonly in the village. Villagers wailing sounds one after another. I quietly hid on top of a house observing the situation. A small-bodied magic creature walked before black-armored demon asking permission to kill everyone. The black-armored demon commander coldly responded no, clearly stating this mission's focus is capturing humans as slaves. More importantly, finding the sage can't delay proper business due to bloodlust. Then the demon commander inquired subordinates, asking if they found the sage's whereabouts. A magic creature answered right in Death Wolf Mountain ahead. Then it said Death Wolf Mountain has undying wolves inhabiting. Those creatures extremely fierce, difficult to deal with. Inquired the demon commander what to do. The demon commander then ordered tomorrow morning, climb mountain searching to find the sage. He dismissively said himself a high-tier demon, not putting undying wolves in his eyes at all. I secretly assessed the opponent's strength. Through appraisal saw, as a high-tier demon, his various attributes extremely formidable, direct confrontation definitely not the best strategy. Just as I pondered, the commander suddenly alertly shouted loudly, saying detected nearby, outsider aura. His subordinate magic creatures immediately scattered, beginning carpet search. I thought inside I'm an assassin, concealing whereabouts for me easy as pie. They fundamentally impossible to find me. While turning and leaping on rooftops, I inadvertently glimpsed villagers bound by magic creatures to the side. After silent moment, I turned to leave. Heart though reluctant, also clear I have no reason to save them. My goal same as demons, both finding the sage, must reach mountaintop first. I quickened pace, rushing toward Death Wolf Mountain's direction. Figure quickly disappeared into vast mountain forest. Don't know how long passed, I finally almost climbed to mountain top. Dim light, gravel under feet, continuously sliding down cliff. Such precipitous place, slightest carelessness will fall into bottomless abyss. I had to deliberately slow pace advancing. A trace of weak aura quietly transmitted from darkness. I instantly alert this definitely undying wolf's aura. Next second, a shrill wolf howl suddenly broke mountain forest silence. Groups of undying wolves from all directions suddenly pounced. Offensive, coordinated, and swift, also without flaws. I swiftly leapt up, steadily landing on thick tree branch beside. Overlooking wildly restless wolf pack below trees, I activated appraisal, discovered their most outstanding is possessing cooperation skill. Wolf pack below trees began frantically biting tree trunk. Huge force made entire tree violently shake. I quickly plucked several leaves, injecting magic power into them. Originally flexible leaves instantly transformed into sharp blades, accompanied by breaking wind sounds shot straight out, precisely hitting one undying wolf's neck, beheading it. Wolf corpse crashed to ground. I took advantage of chaos, leaping down from shaking branches. Remaining wolf pack seeing this immediately launched siege again. I gathered magic power, continuously shooting simple light blades. Two more undying wolves fell in response. I began guiding internal magic power, strengthening own body. Barehanded beat two wolves to death. Other undying wolves seeing this, let out low growls. I clenched fists, thinking might as well take this opportunity, practice overcoming over-reliance on blessing weakness. Wolfpack launched attack again. I pulled out throwing knives from chest, quickly killed them. Just at this time, an aura far stronger than before suddenly approached from ahead, A giant undying wolf far exceeding its kind in size slowly walked out. Surrounding ordinary wolf pack seeing this all chaotically retreated, not daring to compete with it. I knew their leader came. The leader guy wolf roared madly rushing at me. I swung blade slashing. Giant undying wolf before reacting was instantly killed. Looking at its corpse I thought inside this kind of opponent qualifies as my whetstone, can let me truly get training. I wiped blood stains on throwing knife thinking now other wolves should settle down. Result next second they attacked me. My eyes suddenly felt hot. Saw image-like scenes, guessed whether the scenes I saw are their attack trajectories. So I made movements, following scene seen in eyes. Swung blade in advance, happened to stab into its throat. Only then confirmed obtained precognition like new blessing. Secretly pleased my strength had new breakthrough again. Seeing this, remaining wolf pack all cowered. I gripped blade handle in reverse, quickly pursued those undying wolves trying to flee. In the cold shout don't think of escaping, neatly annihilated all undying wolves. I activated appraisal blessing checking own state. Discovered skill column indeed newly added precognition blessing. Packed up luggage, I continued setting out. Continuous battles and climbing made me slightly tired. Found a flat rock to sit and rest briefly. Suddenly, overhead came rumbling sounds. I immediately alertly stood up. Possibly Demon King's army reached mountaintop before me, so I quickened pace rushing toward mountaintop. After reaching mountaintop's open space, I clearly saw a group of demon soldiers fighting, and surrounded in their middle is a green-robed elf girl. I secretly guessed her identity, just heard the commander say she's the sage's disciple, then he coldly ordered the magic creatures kill her. The girl's body couldn't help trembling, waiting for death's arrival, and the magic creature already raised longsword high slashing down at her. At this critical moment, I picked up the elf girl in my arms, timely avoiding that deadly blade. The elf girl surprised opened eyes, pupils full of confusion, heart full of doubt, not understanding why humans would suddenly appear saving her. Magic creature seeing prey snatched, instantly roared. I quickly scanned surroundings, heart immediately understood. Magic creature solving relatively simple, just that strong aura commander more troublesome. I put the elf girl down, protecting her behind me. She full of confusion, not understanding why I saved her. I had no extra pleasantries, directly cutting to the point, inquiring if she's the sage's disciple. The elf girl froze, admitting she's indeed the sage's disciple. I stated having matters to find the sage, this is the reason for saving her. The demon commander watching US Converse got furious, ordered magic creatures to act and kill us. I already had plans in mind, saving the sage's disciple down, using this to sell favor to the sage. After all wanting to meet that secluded elf sage, this perhaps is the most direct method. I activated precognition skill. Eyes instantly became sharp. Surrounding magic creatures' movements in my eyes seemed to slow down. Gaze swept across their attack movements, simply full of openings. My figure moved, like a ghost shuttling between magic creatures. Short blade unsheathed, cold light flickering. In one breath killed several magic creatures, remaining magic creatures scared, dumbfounded, faces full of disbelief. I while fighting, while analyzing inside. As long as in precognition state, close combat almost won't lose, but state's duration time uncertain. The demon commander seeing this, immediately changed tactics, using magic aiming to shoot and kill. Just as words fell, magic creatures simultaneously activated magic bullets, dense energy bullets like raindrops shooting toward me and elf girl. My heart alarmed, this is magic, completely different from divine blessing power, carrying pure dark energy. Just at this critical moment, the elf girl immediately began chanting spells, calling wind spirits to blow magic bullets away. Wind suddenly rose, forming invisible barrier, blowing away all magic bullets. This is through borrowing spirit's power to realize extraordinary phenomena, elves' unique skill. The elf girl turned telling me, thanks to me just now buying time, elves all slightly rested, she could smoothly activate magic. The demon commander seeing attack ineffective, face showing irritated expression. I stared tightly at him, thinking inside finally time for the main person. I turned to the elf girl requesting her, if surrounding small soldiers attack over she'll solve them, and I'll be responsible for killing that commander. The elf girl nodded, responding can help. Then I put down pack, directly charged at demon commander. He already prepared, raised longsword meeting it. We two instantly entangled fighting. Blade collision sounds echoing on mountaintop. I secretly amazed this guy's swordsmanship actually so exquisite. Both sides back and forth fought for very long. Neither could gain advantage. Suddenly, the demon commander seized opening slashing down. Fortunately, I relying on precognition predicted in advance, timely jumped back avoiding vital points. He frowned, seemed somewhat surprised, sizing me up and down, and I could feel waist wound continuously flowing out blood. After a while, the demon commander stated really regrettable, saying if I weren't human Ray should be able to defeat him. I then activated appraisal, again checking his detailed information, confirming whether his skills changed. Though same as last night, but high-tier demons possess innate physical advantages and keen senses, fighting head-on unfavorable for me. My eyes focused, thinking inside, if so, can only try that move.